2015. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Cruz. Mr. Fraser is excused this evening. Ms. Seymour.
Present.
Mr. Seibert.
Here.
Mr. Lance is excused this evening. Ms. Short.
Here.
You have 4 members present.
That's all. Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We will have several items on this agenda this evening, and so I'm going to ask everyone to make sure that their cell phone is silent, as well as we're going to ask that there not be any outbursts, any noise, any private conversations that are happening in the audience, because we have several items to address this evening. And the first item on our agenda, we have a few resolutions, and I'm going to ask Pastor Coffey if he would join me at the podium. The first resolution is in recognition of the Parenting Awareness Month. This is a joint resolution in recognition of the Parenting Awareness Month, whereas the children of Southfield are the most valuable resources, and all young people observe and deserve the support of a society that demonstrates a commitment to helping children become happy, healthy, and drug-free adults. Whereas the city of Southfield believes that the education of children is augmented by parental and parent involvement in their children's education, and studies demonstrate that when parents are involved in their children's education, the attitudes, behaviors, and achievements of the students are positively enhanced. And whereas informed parenting can help reduce social problems such as substance abuse, teenage pregnancy, unemployment, poverty, and crime. Whereas Parenting Awareness Month is a statewide campaign to promote awareness, education, and resources throughout its efforts. And here today, we resolve that the Mayor and City Council of the City of Southfield, County of Oakland, hereby proclaim March 15th as Parenting Awareness Month. And on behalf of the Mayor and my colleagues, we want to commend you this evening. You come to this.
Good evening. I'm Pam Sirkowski, caseworker for Southfield Youth Assistance, and this is Shamir Taylor. She's our board chair. We'd like to take a moment to sincerely thank the City of Southfield for all of their endless support of Southfield Youth Assistance, parents, youth, and families in this community. I think that youth assistance is one of the best kept secrets here, and I think that the citizens of Southfield are not aware that the city really is investing in a prevention program that's available to all of the youth and families in this community. And I'd like to do a little commercial, if I might. We have a brand new website, www.southfieldya.org. And right now, in partnership with the Jack and Jill Foundation, we received a grant to provide free summer camp experiences for kids on college campuses all around the area. So there's no income requirement. It's first come, first served. There are amazing programs in science, technology, math, engineering that Lawrence Tech, Wayne State, local universities put on for kids to continue their knowledge and their excitement for learning. They're usually pretty expensive, and we're able to finance those this summer. So I encourage people to go on the website, take advantage of it. We're also gearing up for our annual youth recognition event. Anyone who knows young people that they're proud of, that are doing amazing things, please contact us. We would love to publicly recognize them. And again, thank you all for your endless support of youth and families. www.southfieldya.org. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
This is a joint resolution with council and mayor. It's Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month. And whereas abuse and neglect are suffered by children regardless of age, race, gender, or economic situation, whereas 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before the age of 18, and whereas this reported mistreatment is only a portion of the overall problem threatening our children, where so many cases go unreported, and today's technology has brought with it a new and dangerous form of child endangerment, the online predator. Whereas the devastating consequence of physical and emotional abuse of our children affects the community as a whole, and finding solutions need to be attended by the community as a whole. And whereas the state of Michigan, the mandatory reporting of professionals working with children of any suspected abuse, is a major step, but more is needed in the community. Whereas Care House of Oakland County works to break the cycle of child abuse and neglect, provides a protective circle of light and hope for a better life, and advocates for the safety and protection of children. And whereas Care House of Oakland County partners with community organizations and agencies to offer programs and services aimed at preventing child abuse and neglect, knowing that effective programs succeed because of the involvement and partnerships created among schools, social service agencies, religious and civic organizations, the business community, and law enforcement agencies. Now, therefore, be resolved that we, the mayor and city council, city of Southfield, county of Oakland, state of Michigan, do hereby proclaim that children deserve to grow and thrive in an environment that matures and keeps them safe. Be it further resolved that we, the mayor and city council, city of Southfield, do hereby proclaim April as Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month in the city of Southfield, Michigan. We also call upon all citizens, community agencies, organizations, and businesses to increase their participation in efforts to prevent the abuse of our children, and thereby strengthening and protecting the community in which we live. And this is signed again by the mayor and city council. Is there anyone here from Child Abuse Protect Needs? Carrie, why do we do this?
We try to do it all. We do crowd too.
Thanks so very much for being here.
The next resolution is definitely one that the mayor and I are truly proud of, and that is a joint resolution for Providence Park Hospital. And if you can have the representatives come forward. Whereas Providence Park Hospital in Southfield is once again ranked as one of the nation's top 15 major teaching hospitals and one of the top 100 hospitals in the U.S. by a leading source of healthcare information and research. Whereas the distinction of the Traveling Health Analytical recognizes hospitals that achieve or exceed national benchmark scores for hospital-wide performance. This is the 7th time Providence Hospital has been recognized as a top major teaching hospital. Whereas the study found that the 100 top hospitals that roughly a half-day shorter patient length of stay, 4% fewer complications, and 6% recognition for heart failure, heart attack, and other conditions. The top 100 hospital study incorporates public data, risk-adjusted peer-reviewed methodology, key performance metrics to arrive at an objective, balanced scoring, measuring current performance and long-term improvement. It evaluates performance in 11 areas: mortality, medical complications, patient safety, average patient stay, expenses, profitability, patient satisfaction, adherence to clinical standards of care, and post-discharge mortality, readmission rate for heart attack, heart failure, pneumonia, and for this year, the Medicare per beneficiary medical expenditures. Whereas now be resolved, the mayor of City Council and City of Southfield, County of Oakland, State of Michigan, do hereby recognize Providence Park Hospital as one of the nation's top 15 teaching hospitals and one of the top 100 hospitals here in the United States. And we definitely commend you out there.
Thank you. I really want to thank the mayor and the council president and all of the members of the city council, not only for this very nice and very meaningful recognition, but also for the great partnership that we've had with the city over many, many years. As Southfield Hospital, we are very pleased to provide our citizens with this top quality care and to be ready and available for whatever health care needs citizens might have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. As president of the hospital, I have the great privilege of seeing firsthand every day the high level of quality that our physicians and staff deliver to our patients. And so I know these things, but it is particularly gratifying to receive this national recognition. And as was mentioned, for the seventh time, the sixth time in the past 7 years, to get this national recognition. And although the resolution had a lot of medical terminology in it, what it really means is that based on patient outcome data, how patients with various conditions do when they come to the hospital, the city of Southfield has one of the best hospitals in the country. And so we are very pleased to get that recognition and very pleased to continue to serve our citizens.
The next individuals that will be addressing the council are the Oakland County Commissioner Janet Jackson and Oakland County Commissioner Nancy Forrest.
Good evening, my name is Rhonda Terry. I'm the office coordinator for the Southfield Human Services Department. And a couple of years back, Commissioner Jackson and myself, we put on a senior forum, and it was very successful. So she called me the other day and asked me if we want to collaborate and do that again. So I said yes. So we're having the City of Southfield and Oakland County Oakland County Information Forum, like a community resource fair. And it's going to be held on Monday, April 6th from 5:30 to 8 o'clock p.m. inside the Southfield Public Library in the meeting room. And the forum will provide an overview of numerous City of Southfield and Oakland County programs for all ages, which are going to be tailored to enhance your quality of life and community enjoyment. Speakers from various agencies, city level and county level will be there to talk about their services and to do one-on-one consultations with the residents.
I just want to add, first of all, I want to offer my apologies for Commissioner Forrest. She could not be here this evening. Just wanted to say it's very good that we have a human services department within our city. Every city is not blessed and fortunate enough to have that. And as an Oakland County official, with the agencies and services that we have to offer, to collaborate is a good thing, because it multiplies the opportunities for the people and the residents to come and see what is out there. During our Great Recession in this county, poverty increased by 50% amongst our children and our residents. So when we have agencies like Lighthouse, Well, first of all, we're going to bring utilities. We're going to bring utilities at this time. The heating season is ending. We talk about their programs, the heat and warmth program, Oakland County Human Services as far as the health department is going to come to talk about what they have to offer our residents. I have a list. I won't go through the whole list, but yeah, there's 20 agencies coming, including the Department of Human Services. They're invited, transportation companies, Common Ground Sanctuary, DTE Energy, Consumers Energy, the South Oakland County Shelter, Community Network Service for Mental Health, Legal Aid. So this is an opportunity for people to come out that are seeking help that might not be able to have the transportation to get all around the county to seek these services. So we're very grateful to collaborate for the second time. The first event we had about 4 years ago was very well attended. So I appreciate and I thank the council for letting us have this time, and the mayor for letting us have this time to come and talk about this event, because these are the things that help our community and our quality of life.
Can you give us a date and time again?
And it's Monday, April the 6th, that's Easter Monday, day after Easter, at 5:30 in the Southfield Public Library in the large meeting room. Each agency that's coming is going to have 1 to 2 minutes to give a brief presentation, question and answer, and they'll have tables set up for any type of assistance people might be trying to obtain.
Very good.
All right.
All right, thank you. Our last presentation to be given this evening is Stop the Silence. It's African American women with breast cancer, and that's going to be done by Missionary. And this is information to the community as well. You can give it to the board.
Thank you, Madam President, and good evening, everyone. I am Mary Waters, the President of the Greater Sisters Network for the Greater Metropolitan Detroit area, which includes the city of Southfield. We're here today to invite residents of the city of Southfield, as well as folks who are here in the audience, to Stop the Silence, which is on April 25th. We will the starting point will be at Calvary Baptist Church, which is right at Lafayette and McDougal in the city of Detroit. I believe that many members are definitely familiar with the Lafayette area. And so we hope that you will come out and join us, because, oftentimes people who end up with this, with the disease, with breast cancer, they suffer in silence. It's as though they are afraid or ashamed and just don't know what to do. I remember a lady was just telling me about a week ago about a lady who was at her church who had breast cancer for, I guess she had been suffering for months in silence, didn't tell her children, didn't tell anybody, not the members of the church, not a soul. And by the time that they found out about it, it was absolutely too late to help her. And so we want to make sure that we reach out to people and say, look, there's support here for you, there's help here for you. You don't need to be silent, you don't need to suffer in silence anymore. And so we're asking all of you to join us on April 25th for Stop the Silence. Let's make sure that we do that.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Okay, we're going to move through a few appointments this evening, and the first appointment is that of Kathy Hicks for Deputy City Treasurer. We have several appointments, and excuse me, we're going to hold the applaud until later, and so we're going to ask Ms. Kathy Hicks if she could come to the podium at this time. And council, I will entertain a motion.
I'd like, Ms. Seymour, I'll support.
We have a motion by Ms. Seymour, supported by Mr. Fiber, to approve the appointment of Kathy Hicks as Deputy City Treasurer. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now, did you bring your family with you as well?
Yes, I did.
They're welcome to come and stand, and we've got a few appointments, so we'll have Ms. Banks swear everyone together. Why don't we do the employees individually, and then we'll do the commissioner there. So you can bring your family up, and we'll be sworn in. And tell us who you are.
This is my sister Karen and my brother-in-law Ken.
Kathy, if you'd raise your right hand, please. Do you hereby swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of this state, and the Southfield City Charter, and that you will faithfully perform the duties as Deputy City Treasurer in and for the City of Southfield, County of Oakland, State of Michigan, according to the best of your ability?
I do. Thank you. If you want to come around and get a better shot, you can. Okay, and the six, I'm going to ask you to get down to your photo shot, but you can just move over just right near the mayor, and we'll have everybody come up at one time to do the The next person to be sworn in is Mr. James Pierce, and that is a Deputy Director and Fiscal Services Controller, Mr. Pierce. He will come to the stage, so we'll just take a motion at this time.
I move the appointment of Mr. Pierce as Deputy Director, Fiscal Service Controller.
We have a motion by Mr. Snyder, supported by Mr. Cruz, to appoint Mr. Pierce. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next appointment is Lee Schultz as City Engineer.
I move the appointment.
Then you can come down.
Move the appointment of Lee Schultz as City Engineer.
We have a motion by Mr. Snyder, supported by Ms. Beamer, to approve Lee Schultz as our City Engineer. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Do you have your family here with you as well?
Yes, I do. I've got my daughter, Jenna, and my husband, Jason.
Thank you. She looks just like me. Thank you.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you hereby swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of this state, and the Southfield City Charter, and that you will faithfully perform the duties as Southfield City Engineer in and for the City of Southfield, County of Oakland, State of Michigan, according to the best of your ability? Okay.
Okay, and the chauffeur will have you stand over here, your family can return to their seats, and then the next person we have is the appointment of Shirley Friedman as Business and Economic Development Director.
I move the appointment for Shel Freeman as Business and Economic Development Director.
We have a motion by Mr. Mr. Stivers, supported by Ms. Seymour, and I believe Ms. Freeman is out today, is that right?
She's out of town on business.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we'll move to the reappointment. I'll entertain a motion.
Move we support the reappointment to the Southfield Employee Retirement System Board for Mr. Mark Jukas.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Cruz, supported by Mr. Stiver for the reappointment by Mr. Mark Jupiter.
Madam Chair, Mark isn't here this evening, he's out of town because of personal reason.
All right, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Then, Ms. Jordan, I have, on behalf of the Boards and Commissions Subcommittee of the Council, we're recommending the appointment to the Building Authority of James Jenkins III, and the appointment to the Total Living Commission of Kyra Harris, and the reappointment to the Total Living Commission of Sabina Heller.
Will entertain a motion at this time.
I so move.
Support.
There's a motion by Mr. Sykes, supported by Mr. Cruz, to approve the reappointment as mentioned. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I'm going to ask those three individuals if they're here to come up and be sworn in. That's Mr. James Jenkins III, Tyra Harris, and Christina Heller.
Okay, if you'd like to raise your right hand, please. Do you hereby swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of this state, and the Southfield City Charter, and that you will faithfully perform the duties to the Board of Commissions which you were just appointed and reappointed to, in and for the City of Southfield, County of Oakland, State of Michigan, according to the best of your ability?
Yes, and you can bring your family up as well if they're here. Sure. Did you get the busy for you? All right, we're going to ask all those that were sworn in to come up and
My family that is with me is my father, Jim Jenkins, my mother, Jacqueline Jenkins, my cousin, Devin, my nephew, Cameron, and my sister, Nico.
My name is Tyra Harris, and I have my mother, my father, Cheryl Brown, Donald Harris, my best friend, Jasmine Ewan, and my fiancé, Gregory Bolden.
Thank you all very much. At this time, we'll have
Thank you. Now I have congratulations. Congregation Shari Bedick.
All right. I would just like to say, thank you, Madam Chairman, for recognizing me. I would just like to say my own personal pride in seeing some of the women in our organization being promoted to leadership positions, to top management positions. They've earned it, and I'm glad that Southfield is so oblivious to gender and look only at the qualifications of our staff. I'm very proud of everyone that's been appointed. especially our staff who've been appointed to management positions, Kathy Hicks and Lee Schultz and Rochelle Freeman, although she's not here. I'm so proud of all of you. We have such a great staff in Southfield. If you live here, you've got to know that this is the best staff around. We have tears really in the state. And I'm so proud of our staff and so proud of our women who, our city engineer is a woman. That's extraordinary. And I'm so proud of that. I just want to say again, you've done great and we're looking forward to more. Thank you all.
And I echo those comments. Girls rock.
Right.
Let's move to the next item on our agenda.
I'll move the approval of the minutes of the meeting of January 26th, regular meeting, committee of the whole, meeting of February 9th, and the special meeting of February 23rd.
Support.
A motion by Mr. Cyrus, supported by Mr. Cruz, to approve the minutes as mentioned. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. Council, I am moving one item from the attorney's portion, and that is the approval of the Comcast Cable Company's proposed transfer of franchise to Great Lakes Connection. We had a thorough review of this over the last few sessions, and we're going to move it to the consent agenda item. It's item M.
Yeah, the amended agenda has a new M, so this would be an N.
Okay. Right. Okay, that's good. We'll add that to N. All right, Council, are there any items that you would like to see removed from the consent agenda before we move forward?
I don't have anything that I want to remove, but I would like to say we're approving tonight first 3 contracts from our road fund bond that was approved last summer, for 3 neighborhoods in Southfield. This is the first of the $99 million local road improvements that we're making.
All right, we'll move to our consent agenda item A. It's a liquor request for Great Lakes Culinary Center, and that's to approve the transfer of 2013 Class C and D license from Little South Playground Restaurant of Madison Heights to Great Lakes Culinary Center in Southfield, Michigan. Consent agenda B is authorization to accept the State of Michigan Public Assistance Grant FEMA, and that is for the Public Assistance Grant FEMA in the amount of $142,000 in assistance for debris removal by the Public Works Department following the flood incident, and to authorize the mayor and the clerk to sign the appropriate documents. Consent agenda C is the entrance marker assignment at Denzel Drive and Telegraph Road, and that is to approve the plan of the amended entrance marker sign with the condition marker containing the word Denzel only, and that no other individual signs or name be placed in the marker, and that all other conditions of previously approved payment of SC 778-805. Consent agenda item D is the Eastwood Recreation Center electronic sign, and that's to authorize staff to prepare the bid documents for electronic sign for the entrance to Beechwood Recreational Center. And we'll put this project under the authority of the Southfield Building Authority. Consent agenda item E is council initiation of special assessment proceedings for Bridge Street and Hilltop reconstruction, and that is to adopt Special Assessment Resolution 1 and special assessment project for the Bridge Street and Hilltop reconstruction. Consent agenda item F is Smart Zone Action Plan, and that's to approve and receive the final letter of approval from the Michigan Strategic Fund for a contract to provide and operate the business incubator program with Lawrence Technological University authorizing funding in the amount up to $200,000 for the development and the build-out and administrative costs for the collaborative space known as the Business and Technology Center on the campus of Lawrence Technological University. In addition to authorize the mayor and clerk to enter an agreement with Lawrence Technological University authorizing funds of $46,000 to conduct a feasibility study with the application of the U.S. Department of Economic Development and Administration, and to approve the funding in the amount of $60,000 to retain a request for qualifications for branding specialist marketing agency to create a brand for the district and incubator centers, and to approve the funding for the Carlisle Workman organization or company in the amount of $50,000 to further execute the strategy for the smart zone. Consent agenda item G is Cranbrook paving improvement in the Cranbrook Village Paving Association in the amount with the acceptable low bid of $2,961,692.15. That will be coming out of our Southfield streets, including bond and the local streets, water and sewer funds for the reconstruction of that area. Consent agenda item H is the repeat of bid for section 12, and that's the Meadowville subdivision water main and paving improvement project in the amount of $2,587,168.60. In addition, $2,975,243.89, with the contract going to Superior Excavating. Consent agenda item I is repeated bid for section 13, Cambridge Village Water Main and Paving Improvement Project, and that is in the acceptable low bid of $406,005 for the Southfield Street Improvement Bond. Consent agenda item J is the risk avoidance program that will have matching funds for the installation of digital security cameras, electrical fobs, and other security devices for the former library, which presently houses the building department, code enforcement, engineering, and planning at the north end of City Hall, and put this project under the care of the Southfield Building Authority. Consent agenda item K is the formation of a strategic resource team and to approve the allocation funding for the city center site, and that is to approve the allocation of $200,000 to retain professional consultants to assist with the preliminary design, planning, architectural, engineering, market analysis, and to authorize staff to solicit RFQ proposals to hire a nationally renowned landscape architectural urban design firm to process the property at the northwest corner of Civic Center Drive and Evergreen Road. To adopt the consent agenda L is to adopt the street improvement and bond reimbursement resolution, and that's to improve the resolution preserving the city's ability to reimburse itself for bond proceeds for expenditures relating to the street improvement project that was paid up 60 days prior to the date of the resolution adopted by the council. Consent agenda item M is Southfield Police Department's court and law enforcement management information system known as the CLINIC, which is going to be a reimbursement given to the city of Southfield, and that $27,000 surplus funds will go towards command, supervision, leadership training with our police officers, including evidence handling training, specialist training, taser updating, surveillance schools, and commercial vehicle carrier officers training, investigative training, and legal update training. And then consent agenda item N is to approve the Comcast cable franchising agreement. And I'll entertain a motion to accept.
Madam President, I move that we support the consent agenda. Before us, items A through N. Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Cruz, supported by Ms. Seymour, to approve the consent agenda items A through N. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We have a long consent agenda, but there is a very, very critical part of that agenda. And now we'll move to the public hearing. Mr. Cruz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first public hearing is GP 1277P. It's a zoning ordinance text amendment to amend Title V, zoning and planning of Chapter 45 zoning of the Code of the City of Southfield by adding a new section 5.223 entitled Overlay Development District to Article 4 General Provisions. Essentially, this amendment specifically pertains to expanding the Overlay Development District boundaries and eligible uses in each of the districts. And I'd like to just pull up a map real briefly. As the council may recall, this item was discussed at our study session last week, but for the benefit of the audience, 2 years ago, the city council adopted the overlay development district in 3 particular areas: the city center shown in red, the downtown development authority shown in blue, and the telegraph technology corridor shown in purple. With the success of those first districts, we are here tonight to propose expanding the districts to make other properties eligible. We incorporated the SMART zone that the council adopted through consent judgment items as identified in the yellow, and then the green represents properties, non-residential properties along Northwestern Highway, North Telegraph, and the North Southfield Road corridor. Again, this just makes these properties eligible to take advantage of the ODD. It would require a separate application, rezoning process, and ultimately approval by the council on a case-by-case basis. There are eligibility requirements within the ordinance, and they have to meet certain tests, but that's the negotiated agreement as a result of any approval. So it just opens up potential development in the future. And after the public hearing, if the council has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
This is a public hearing. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to address the council as it relates to the zoning ordinance text and the overlay district.
Right, Concord, 24201.
Let me finish. So you have 3 minutes to address the council and as it relates to the items that we're.
I see a green line apparently in the position at 9.5 miles. I'm asking the city
Okay, you have.
planner at what area the purple meets the green regarding the telegraph additional. It's too blurry to read the document, and outlined in green seems to include my street at 9.5 miles. I'd like to make it evident to me if that's what this indication is. The map is too blurry to read at the moment.
Well, finish your question and your
My
comment.
question is, can we have a map that we can see clearly to note where these streets are, except in a general blurred presentation? Haven't we had time to have a clear map provided?
Mr. Bunker, go ahead and make your.
My question is, do we have an opportunity to make a clear map before a public hearing in the future? For residents to be more assured of what we're looking at. And the county, and the city planners help us understand what's going on by making a clear picture readily available.
Okay, we'll have Mr. Crowe respond.
Why didn't he do it before the presentation? Looks like he's lapsed in his ability to provide us with information at the time we're here to present the request. Why weren't we mailed copies of these changes of plans? Does this include Garner Street?
Through the chair. Well, first of all,
There's no road on here indicating what the green or purple is. I still can't tell from this map what it is.
Okay, Mr. Bunker, if you would allow, if you're done with your question, I'm going to allow the city planner to respond.
The questions are dependent on what this represents, and my 3 minutes shouldn't start until I recognize what the plan actually is. I haven't been able to see from this at home either.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, first of all, this item was discussed at the Planning Commission public hearing, and this map has been available on our front counter for review by the public. The green line that Mr. Bunker has identified is actually Civic Center, 10.5 miles. So the green line, that's right, 8 mile is down here, sir. This is 8 mile, this is 9 mile, this is 10 mile. 10.5 for Civic Center Drive runs this way. So the green line north of that is Civic Center and Northwestern Highway and Telegraph Road.
So on the purple line, equidistant from 9 and 10 miles.
There are no
I see
shades.
with a purple indentation that shows it going seemingly into residential, but not with a specific amount of space from telegraph indicating. This is a blurred print of what possible, including the charter school, that exists in a parking lot that was built without a public hearing. Public hearings were denied prior to those parking lots being constructed. Now I'm being given an example of an overlay development that is blurred at best and doesn't even show detail regarding where my home sits according to residential zoning. Where is my zoning going to be tomorrow? This I can't tell from. You changed my zoning to heavy construction, heavy school, commercial parking lot. All these alternatives have been placed in my front yard for zoning. And never has a public hearing been taken place to allow me to vote on what zoning will be in the future of my neighborhood. When can I appeal to this council's decision on whatever they're deciding? Because it isn't clear to me what this purple line envelops. Is my property within that purple line? Can you tell me yes or no?
I can say definitely it is not within that property. The purple line represents the Telegraph Technology Corridor, which was adopted 2 years ago. It went through the same public hearing as we are now. We're not proposing any changes to that
The
district.
parking lot adjacent to me owned by Maxitrol exists within the purple of this indicated overlay district.
It does not.
So a commercial development next door to me is still zoned residential while it's been fenced in by a commercial company.
All right, Mr.
6 foot tall with an illegal, unapproved fence.
Mr. Bunker, your time is up.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so, for your sake.
Did give you the dimension.
People can't explain what's going on in their city.
All right, this is a public hearing. If anyone in the audience would like to address the council on this particular item. Give me your name and address for the record.
Pamela Gerald, P.O. Box 155, Southfield, Michigan, 40337-0155. My telephone number is 248-346-0439. I just wanted to ask a couple of questions as well. Have you stated to the residents, through the chair to the city planner, what types of businesses will be in this overlay development district?
You can respond to me, and you have 2 minutes and 27 seconds. So go ahead and you have 5.
I appreciate your interruptions as a distraction to constantly remind me how much time I have. So I'm just going to say the question again very specifically. Has the overlay developmental district said what type of businesses will be in that particular area? And for the correction on the motion to approve the consent agenda, it was Dr. Stiver that supported it, not Joe Seymour. And you don't have to take my word, check the recording. Thank you.
All right, is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the council on this matter? Seeing none, we'll declare the public hearing closed. Council will entertain a motion to accept GP 1277.
I so moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Cruz, supported by Ms. Seymour. Are there any questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And we'll move to the next public hearing, Mr. Crowe.
Thank you. I just need a minute to switch the player. Our next item is our second and final public hearing, BP 1256. It's a special use and site plan review request of George Hartman Architects on behalf of the owner, New Hope Missionary Baptist Church, to construct new parking lots on properties located at 23690, 23712, 23774, Sergeant, a new picnic area on 23900 Sergeant, and use the house located at 23774 Sergeant for religious studies. All properties are located on the north side of Sergeant between Telegraph and Berg Roads. Planning Department received a special use and site plan request on April 2nd, 2013. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on this matter on May 22nd, 2013, and made a recommendation of denial. The petitioner revised his plans and in 2014 and returned to the Planning Commission, which held another public hearing on January 28th, 2015, and made a recommendation of denial on that plan as well. I have a brief video to present, and then after the public hearing, we'll give the applicant a time to introduce this topic, and then after the public hearing, I'll be happy to answer any questions that come to me.
GP 1256 XP 1300 is a special use and site plan review request of George Hartman of Hartman Architects on behalf of the owner, New Hope Missionary Baptist Church, to construct a new parking lot, picnic area, and to use a house for religious studies on properties located at 23690, 23712, 23774, and 23900 Sergeant Avenue, on the north side of Sergeant Avenue between Telegraph and Berg Road in Section 33 of the city. The subject property, as well as the properties to the north across 9 Mile Road, to the south and the east are zoned R1 single-family residential. The properties to the west are zoned P vehicular parking and R1 single-family residential. With regard to the existing land uses, the subject properties are developed with the New Hope Missionary Baptist Church and 2 homes fronting Sergeant Avenue. To the north of the proposed changes is the rear of the New Hope Missionary Baptist Church, which fronts 9 Mile Road. To the south, east, and west, the properties are developed with single-family homes fronting Sergeant Avenue. The sites contain a total of 1.71 acres of land with 300 feet of frontage on Sergeant Avenue and a depth of 250 feet. The special use request is for church use within a single-family residential zoning district. The submitted site plan reflects the construction of new parking lots on properties located at 23690, 23712, and 23774 Sergeant Avenue, a new picnic area on 23900 Sergeant Avenue, and use of the house located at 23774 Sergeant Avenue for religious studies. The parking required for the church is 240 spaces with 317 proposed on-site, including 54 spaces on 23690, 23712, and 23774 Sergeant.
The landscaping conforms to ordinance requirements. Issues considered by the planning department during review of the special use and site plan were the special use and site plan review standards of the zoning ordinance.
I believe Mr. Hartman and some representatives of New Hope are here. I've asked them to make their brief presentation prior to the public hearing.
Thank you, Madam President. George Hartman, Hartman Architects, 6905 Telegraph Road, Suite 101, Bloomfield Hills. With me is Pastor David Roberson, and I have also Jonathan Trout from Board of Trustees from New Hope Missionary Baptist Church. Pastor, would you like to start?
Let me say good evening to the council and the public as well. My name is David Roberson, pastor of the New Hope Missionary Baptist Church. I'm proud to say that New Hope has worked with the city council as well as the city for the past 33 years. We've been fulfilling dreams of the citizens of Southfield. So we're proud to say that going back to 2002, when we first moved into our facility, we requested that the council requested that we demolish our old church and completely build a new church, and we did that, everything they asked us to do. In addition to that, we have asked the council to work with us, and so we are proud to say that New Hope is also a polling place. I think the city clerk contacted me and asked if they use this facility for individuals to come in and vote, and we certainly cooperate with that. In the past, we've gotten recommendations from the city for community pride awards in 2008, 2011, and 2012. I was also contacted by several council members, Ken Fiber and Sylvia Jordan. They asked could we work together as far as coming up with some type of a compromise so the entire community could be serviced. And I'd like to report we're in agreement with that compromise, and we're ready to move forward. First of all, there are 3 points I'd like to make out. The picnic area in the rear of the church will only be used for church use. It will not be for the public at all. Secondly, the counseling, we will conclude all of our activities at 10 p.m. There will be nothing going on after 10 p.m. As far as parking is concerned, we will park on church property as well as for the council and the councillees. We will not disturb anything on Sargent Street. The configuration of Sargent will remain just as it is now. If you drive down there, you will not see anything the New Hope will be doing. Thirdly, we removed 1 row of cars, and instead of having the 54 parking spots, we will only have 46 parking spots. And I want to thank the council for working with us. I hope that I've explained how we can all work together. I want to thank the Southfield City Council, the Planning Commissioner, the citizens of Southfield, and all those who took a part in this. And I thank you for any questions you may have. I will refer that to Jonathan Trout. He's the chairperson of our trustee board, and he's worked on this project on numerous of times, changing plans. If you have any questions, Jonathan.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and to council. Just to reiterate on a few things that Pastor mentioned, this project from the day one when we started working on this, we wanted to make sure that we took into consideration the neighborhood in which we were participating in. We wanted to minimize any traffic on Sargent. That was a priority. We wanted to keep the residential feel of the community. So as Pastor mentioned, when you walk down that street, when you drive down that street, you're not going to see anything different than what you would see today, with one exception. 23606, which is one of our properties right now, there's no grass out there. And we connected that property to city water, and when the weather breaks, you'll see grass there. So that will be the change that you will see. So I just wanted to make sure you understand that when you walk down that street, drive down that street, you would see no difference. We wanted to minimize distractions to the residents on that street. So we had a series of meetings, at least 3 meetings, with the residents of that street. We listened to their concerns, their feedback. We went back and we made modifications and changes. We also, when we went to the planning commission, we listened to their feedback. We made modifications and changes. So the plan that you have before you today, we have included 4 properties in relation to our parking lot. Now, when we obtained those properties, you know, the temptation was to expand the parking lot. But we decided that that was not in the best interest of the community. So we decided to put a buffer around it. Therefore, there's no asphalt up against anyone else's property except Nimble property. We wanted to make sure that was something that was considered. So we have a green belt around that. Our Biblical Counseling Center, as Pastor mentioned, the main entrance would be from the rear only, And we are not requesting any signage, anything of that nature to be out front. Because again, we want to keep the feel of the community. So we're not asking for any signage, anything of that nature. One of the reasons we want to use that Biblical Counseling Center is that we have a counseling program that trains people from a biblical basis to go out into the communities in which they live to counsel people based on the teaching of the Bible. Well, in addition to that, they counsel people. And within our church building, it's not conducive to personal counseling. So in this building, we would have at least 3 rooms that are very private where that counseling can take place. So we want to make sure that as we do these things, we do it in a manner that is decently and in order. The picnic area that we're talking about is at one time one of our options was to put a parking lot there. And we heard back from our neighbors who had concerns about that. It would have been asphalt right up against someone else's property. So we went back to having a picnic area there. We listened to the input they gave us so that that area would be more secure. One of the things that we do there every year is that we have a animal display for our children, talking about the creations of God. And they get a chance to pet the animals and learn about the animals. And that's one of the things that we do in that area. Other things that happen in that area is that our ministries may have a little gathering there. And believe me, our ministries will not be out there late at night having those type of gatherings. So from that standpoint, we want to make sure that we are very sensitive to the concerns of the community. So, in our effort to blend in with the area as opposed to standing out, we also are looking at the wall. We wanted a wall that would not be something like a brick wall that would stand out and identify a commercial area. We wanted it to blend in with the community so that no one would know. So the fencing that we had was something that we were hoping to continue to use as something that blends in as opposed to stand out. So I hope and trust that you take this under consideration, that also from the standpoint that we appreciate all the feedback, whether it was positive or negative, from the members of the neighborhood association, from the commission, and from anyone else that we spoke with. We definitely appreciate the feedback. We try to take that feedback and do something positive with it. So thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you. You can have a seat, and this is going to be a public hearing. We're going to open it at this time. If there's anyone in the audience wishing to speak, you have 3 minutes to address the council and address the questions to the council president. If anyone in the audience wishing to speak, in 3 minutes to address the council.
Pamela Darrell, P.O. Box 155, Southfield, Michigan, 48037-0155. My telephone number is 248-346-0439. I'm in support of this project. I've been to Reverend Robinson's church. He's been a very spiritual, uplifting man in the community. I heard him say that you guys encouraged him to tear the church down, and he did it. And when a man can complete all of fulfill all of the obligations that you put on him for a project, I think this just deserves high consideration. And they get some great picnics. I've had a wonderful time at all the picnics I've been to. Thank you.
My name is Frank Smendelski. I live on Northwest Drive, 23646 Northwest, which is the street adjacent to Sergeant. I come with a meeting from the Southfield Association, and at that time, two of the members from the church were there, because I find out the majority of people that attend that church are not even from Southfield, which is neither here nor there. But the proposal of shrinking down those properties for the parking lot automatically decreases the value of the property, and it's also going to decrease my property value in my next to it. We've got vacant houses all over the place in that area now. People are not going to stay if this continues to increase the size of the church. I'm all for churches all around. Everybody needs religion, in my opinion. But when I also talked to we listened to the people from the church, majority of the people attend the second service. They don't attend the first service. If we split the service, there would be no need for extra parking. It's just simple like this. 50% of attendance for the first meeting, there's a space there for a lot of people. And I don't believe that the houses that are there are going to be running out. We've already had police attendance at a couple of the houses that the church owns. A couple times already since I've been there, and I don't know who the people are or what, but I see them declining in the neighborhood, and I don't want it declining anymore. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Rodney Count, 30157 Sparkleberry Drive, South of Michigan, and I was a member in New Oakland. I live in Southfield. And basically, the church has grown. And working in the parking lot, you can see easily the parking lot gets filled quickly, and people have to park off-site. It creates a hazard to have people walking up to the church off-site. So having more parking will allow us to have more people on-site, make it safer, cut down traffic on 9 Mile. And once again, no one goes down Sergeant. And I'm counter what the gentleman said, a lot of people that go to the vote do live in Southfield.
Okay, we don't want any outbursts in the audience. Just come to the mic and give us you have 3 minutes to address it.
Good evening, Madam President, Mayor. My name is Gwendolyn Ogletree. I live at 21051 Sherman Avenue. I am one of the people who live in the Southfield Association, and I also am a member of New Hope Missionary Baptist Church. And by the location and with the issues that as a member that I deal with parking, there has been occasions where I've had to walk to church or my daughter walk to church because it was easier for us to walk to church than to drive and find a parking space on site. And I prefer not to have to walk to church, but again, I did it because of the fact that, we were running later and I knew that there was no place for us to park. So I am for this parking lot expansion, and I also want to mention that I do attend a biblical counseling course in Biblical Counseling 1 this on Tuesday, and then I have a test tomorrow. But, I'm here to say that I am for the expansion of the parking lot.
Good evening. It's good to be before you again to speak with the United Council. My name is Charlie Gilliam, Precinct Delegate 18, elected of Southfield, Michigan. The church, I'm not a member, but I have been there off and on for the last couple of years, and I've been very impressed. That church is clean, and it's well kept up. It looks just like when they moved in there over a decade ago. And that's just know by that church sitting there when they pulled the old church down. All that property value down there, them people, the neighbors there, their houses are worth a lot more than what it would be without the church sitting there right now. And I would like to say, that church feeds the hungry. Around Thanksgiving, they don't turn nobody away. The whole community, the whole region. And as far as we don't live in the community, we might not live right around the corner, but we live within a half mile, 2 miles, 3 miles, we surround Southfield. And I would like to also say, the Reverend Wright, he opened that, the voting up for the community. They vote for the President of the United States, they vote for the governor, they vote for all the state reps, they vote for the mayor of Southfield, they vote for Mrs. Banks, the treasurer, the clerk, they vote for, and you city council, we vote for you. And also, what I'm trying to say is, the city planner, when we need one, the city council is the one that approves the city planner that sits there. I tell you my facts, but I think the system said regular no. And I know the planner here. Yes, you're looking to it, find out who said no. Also, at the top of this month, one of the top radio stations already said that marijuana and legalized gambling is coming all the way across the country. Somebody on one of these stations already said they want to get next prostitution next. But I guarantee you, when that church sitting there, that ain't going to happen. I also want to tell you this, that the neighbors there, when the fans start following them young girls, if they do get prostitution, that church is a Dallas, somebody always says, when Dallas police, they beat them out of a minute to protect their grandkids, trying to get home from school. Thank you for hearing that.
You're always energetic, but I'm going to again ask you to refrain from making noise in the audience. Thank you very much.
My name is Robert Montgomery. I live at 23428 Plumwood Drive, City of Southfield, 48075. My phone number is 248-357-1661. I'm here to say that I'm against this annexation of property by the church. And the reason I'm saying that is that it sets a precedent, a bad precedent for people that live in residential areas. And I'm on the board of directors for the Lumber Homeowners Association, and I'm here representing them. So I ask you to vote no on this proposal.
Good evening. My name is Gwen Owens. I live at 22310 Leroy Avenue, Southfield, Michigan, 48033. My telephone number is 248-352-4233. I was hoping I wouldn't have to get up tonight because I have mixed emotions about this issue. I'm a member of New Hope Missionary Baptist Church, and I have an association that is adjacent to many of the associations around the church. New Hope Missionary Baptist Church does a lot of good things in our neighborhood. It does. I know that firsthand. However, the issue seems to be 46 parking spaces, if I did my math right. 46 parking spaces, I said to myself, to disrupt a neighborhood that's been there forever. And I wondered why we were not considering that the church now owns the VFW Hall, and I know there must be 100 parking spaces over there. And we have shuttle facilities to bring people back and forth. And for all the people between the first service and the second service that can't find a parking space, I just say this, get there early, be there on time. You'll miss something if you don't. Because we provide a very good service to the neighborhood. I've been there since it was the white church with the birds flying over when it needed a roof. But right now, I am not in favor of disrupting neighborhoods to set a precedent by dividing up backyards to provide 46 parking spaces. I just cannot go along with that idea. Thank you for your time.
Again, we're going to ask you not to make any noise or call.
Hi, Stephanie English, 24011 Wildbrook Court, Southfield 48034. I was torn between the two. My former home, for 16 years, bordered a church, and I have a binder 4 inches thick of impact due to church expansion, especially parking lot projects. I want to go very quickly into a more pragmatic sense, and that's the size and intensity of these plans when the church decided to do their expansion. It might be that the intensity and the size is just too big. I had examples to kind of give a picture of an airplane seat, where I'm sitting in a seat and someone that comes on that's morbidly obese gets to sit in the seat next to me. And based on their size, I may have to be impacted by their flesh falling in over onto my flesh. Or you have a size 6 foot. Yeah, it'll fit into a size 8 shoe if it decides to grow. But if that foot grows to be a size 12, then it's impacting and coming out of a size 8 shoe. It just doesn't fit. Also, too, the primary influence for the turndown was our planning commission. This team of individuals, they are subject matter experts who are the ones that have the expertise to review these plans, and they've been turned down twice. On a dollar basis, I try to do things in a pragmatic basis. If this is a tie between the homeowners and the church, on a dollar basis, the decision of influence, I think the taxpayers win. The church, with all due respect to the church is a non-taxpaying entity. It is a business. I do consider churches profit centers as a matter of fact. But if I do a simple mathematic calculation of a homeowner that they have paid $33,000 a year for 30 years, that's $90,000 they paid. If I multiply that by 10 homeowners, that's $900,000. I'm not saying that money counts, but there just should be some type of tiebreaker influence. And the other thing I wanted to say is, it may not be the first year or the second year, but in my experiences with my home bordering the church, with the parking lot expansion project, they went bad usually 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line. The water runoff problem was very significant. I had neighbors whose foundations were unsettled based on the water runoff. I haven't heard in the plans that there's going to be any drainage systems put in the backyard to protect the water tables of the surrounding homeowners. So like I said, the project may be good in the beginning. You normally see if a bad project goes bad, it's years down the line after the inception of the project. And I think that protection needs to be considered for the taxpayers. In a biblical sense, this is a matter of David and Goliath, and I think that the little David should be protected.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Carla Thomas, and I reside at property 23712 Sargent Street, and I am for the expansion of the parking lot. Just to say that the police did not come to my home. Thank you.
Council, through the council president. My name is Reverend Valerie Crum. I live at 21440 Potomac Street in Southfield, Michigan. I've been a resident, my husband and my children and I, since 1982. We've been taxpayers, we've been voters, registered voters that vote in every election. I've worked for the city of Southfield. I belong to New Hope since 1992. The comment that was made about the majority of the people at the church do not live in Southfield. Many of our parishioners do live in Southfield. We are taxpayers. So the figures that the young lady just quoted concerning taxpayers over a period of time, we're paying taxes. And we do support the city council and the mayor. I'm here to say that I support this project because we do need the parking. Individuals that have indicated that we could park at the VFW hall. It's not the safest way to do it. We need to be able to do it around the church so that children are not having to get on a van and come across Telegraph Road. We'd rather have all the parking around the church. In terms of intrusion into the neighborhood, we've done everything that we've been asked to do in terms of buffering the neighborhood. The plans for the Biblical Counseling Center have been set up. The house is configured so that in the event that we're able to get another facility, that house will be viable as the property could be sold or rented, however we want to do it, but it will still be viable. Also, the training that's done there is passive counseling and training. It is not mental health training. We are not licensed professional counselors. We are lay counselors. So we will not be dealing with people that are angry and causing police to come to the property and things of that nature. It's a very passive type of training. Also, in terms of whether water runoff and things of that nature are being handled, we have been working with Mr. Hartman ever since the inception of this church. He knows full well what we need to do to make this parking perfect. And we're trusting him that he will do what needs to be done. Thank you.
Well, good evening, the City Council. I'm Dr. Phyllis Moore Grant, and I live at 27076 Aberdeen Street here in Southfield. The 48076, my phone number, 248-722-1903. And we are here this evening as a church family because we need an additional parking lot. We have 2 services, and sometimes, most all the time, I attend both services. And when other members come, if they cannot find a parking space, they leave. So, an additional, the parking lot is needed. Our church, it has grown, and it is still growing. So we are asking you tonight to please honor our request and consider our request to add an additional parking lot for our church. Thank you very much.
And let me make a note, you don't have to give your telephone number.
Good evening. My name is Lynn Rice. I live at 21925 Bird Road and have for 28 years since 1987. I have been active in the South Bird Association since its inception and recent reorganization, and am currently the association treasurer. Our planning commission voted 6-0 against the New Hope Missionary Baptist Church proposal. As a long-standing Southfield resident and a member of the Neighborhood Association Board, I strongly recommend you, our Southfield City Council, follow their lead and not allow this encroachment on our neighborhood. The New Hope Missionary Baptist Church proposal would directly oppose the first stated purpose in our Southfield Association bylaws, which is to protect and preserve the natural environment that characterizes and contributes significantly to the quality of life in the Southfield area. Our area and its deep lots, wooded and wetland areas throughout, has a rural feel. In fact, one of the city council members once described our residents as rugged individualists. Over the years, our neighborhood association has worked to preserve a 20 to 30 acre section now called Horsetail Woods instead of okaying a condo complex. We voted down street lights, members who want have their own safety lighting, and approved a bike path with the support of grant money on only the west side of the street for biker and pedestrian safety. All examples of preserving the Southfield area environment, our first purpose, while meeting member needs. Though over time, the members of the Southfield Association have changed, the priorities for a touch of country in the city has not. Many homes have no fencing between them to allow wildlife movement and an open field. We understand and we empathize with New Hope Missionary Baptist Church's growth issues. Overall, a good problem to have. But our neighborhood is not the solution to their growth or parking issues. We do not want our neighborhood carved up and compartmentalized with high fences, lighted parking spaces, church picnic areas, or a home that really is a counseling or is it a religious study center, not a residence. New Hope Missionary Baptist Church wants us to sacrifice our sanctuary to expand ours, and we say no. We appeal to you, our city council, to also say no on this proposal and preserve our neighborhoods. As we know, tax-paying neighborhoods are the key to Southfield's continued viability. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Barbara Kelly. I do not live in this area that is in question. I live at 15801 Providence Drive in Southfield. Have been a Southfield resident for over 44 years. I look at this as I would look at any project. I go back to early 80s when there was just a little white house on that property, and it has grown. It has grown so that it is one of the best and noted churches in Southfield. When I think about the parking, I thought about, well, when I want intrusion, but that's not intrusion. Having that parking space, it gives the people who are visiting the church, are members of the church, adequate parking. The thing is, if you don't do it, there's going to be parking in that neighborhood. And then what will the neighbors say? I was hesitant at first about it. I talked to Reverend Robertson and talked to him about the Sargent Street. He explained to me what he wanted to do, and I am in favor of it. While I don't live in the area, I do visit the church now and then, but I do think of it as a planning, good piece of property that will enhance the church. Thank you.
Good evening to the council and to everyone. My name is Alicia Martin, and I am a member of New Hope Missionary Baptist Church. I do not live in Southfield. However, I do operate a business in Southfield. I live in Hazel Park. But what I wanted to say this evening is that I have sat here throughout the entire meeting, and I have listened to the way that the council acts. I saw the people that you honor, people who work with causes related to health and healing, people who work with causes related to children. And I listened to Councilwoman Seymour, how proud she was to see the promotion of women. And I say all of this to say that New Hope Missionary Baptist Church is a microcosm of the Southfield community. The very things that you value, that this council has shown on this evening, that they value and hold in high esteem, are the same things that New Hope Missionary Baptist Church values and promotes. We give to charitable donations, not just to our members who are in need, but to the entire community. We provide several development and enrichment activities for the youth, and it's not just for members, it's open to the entire community. For over 20 years, we have sponsored a tour of historical Black colleges and universities for high school students, and anyone can go. It's not just for members of New Hope Missionary Baptist Church. And I listened to the woman who stated that the church doesn't pay taxes, but the church is made up of members, and the church members, most of them live in Southfield. They pay taxes in Southfield. They vote in Southfield. So New Hope Missionary Baptist Church is Southfield, and the services that they provide are being provided not just to New Hope members, but to the entire community of Southfield. So anything that the church needs to enhance its ability to service the city of Southfield benefits not only New Hope Missionary Baptist Church, but the community at large. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Ruby McGraw. I live at 21953 Bird Road. And I listen to church members get up here and talk about all the good things they do, which, of course, they're a church, they're supposed to do good things, and so they're doing. But they're not talking about how they are encroaching on our neighborhood that's right south of them. And when they talk about the parking lot, they're talking, 47 spaces? And all of this work and everything that they have done is for 47 spaces? You know, all of these meetings with planning committees, they've got to have something bigger they're thinking of. And the bigger that they're thinking of is that all of that property, eventually they're going to come back. If this is approved tonight, 2 years from now or a year from now, they're going to come back. And they're going to want those houses demolished, and they're going to want those entire 4 lots turned into a huge parking lot. That's what they have on their mind. And, you know, and if we pass this tonight, then it's just the beginning of what they ultimately want done, because we wouldn't be putting all of this effort into 47 parking spaces. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sheila Gary. I live at 26701 Isleworth Point in Southfield, and I'm president of the Village of Pebble Creek Association. And I just have a question, and it's for the Planning Commission. I'd like to know what was the Planning Commission's objection to expanding having the parking lot? And if you can't answer that tonight, is it on the website that I could go and look as to what the objections were, why it was denied?
I'm George Wade of 22329 Bird Road. I moved into the neighborhood in July of last year, purchased the property because of its rural, open, natural environment. The photo on the real estate side showed deer in the yard. I moved from Battle Creek. I was not exactly excited about moving to the city, but I don't feel like I live in the city because of the naturalness of the Bird Road neighborhood. from my property, I can see Sergeant, and I am concerned.
Good evening. My name is Carolina Del Virgo, and I live at 23882 Sergeant Avenue. I live right behind the church. And what they are doing is destroying a whole neighborhood. These people that have spoken, they don't live right behind the church. They do not live on this block. I live on that block, and I've talked to my neighbors across the street. I've talked to my neighbors next door. We see things that we have never seen before on some of the houses that are rental property now. I have nothing against this church, and I wish them well. But I wish them well. Stay in the boundary for a church and not come into our neighborhood. I moved here from Detroit because I love this neighborhood. And I'm going to do wonderful things to my house. And to take and come in and look next door to a parking lot would be just devastating. I tell you like it is. I have nothing against the church, but this is a neighborhood. This is a neighborhood where I bring my granddaughter. She goes and runs in the backyard. She doesn't have to look at a parking lot. She doesn't have to worry about people coming in from the back, going into a counseling center. She doesn't have to worry about it. But she sees the deer, the wildlife. We have a pond fish. It is quiet. And that's the way I like it. That's why I moved here. Like I said, I have nothing against the church. But what the church is doing is not biblical. It's not what God intended. You do not step on a little party just to expand what you want. That is not the Christian way. And believe I used to go to church, and I still read the Bible, and that is not what God wants. And you can bring 1,000 people up here from the church. That is not in God's teaching. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
My name is Charlotte Gordon, and I live at 22353 Bird Road. I am the community liaison for the Southfield Association. I found out about this neighborhood because I actually was teaching a class at the Biblical Counseling Center at New Hope Missionary Baptist Church. And so, uniquely enough, I found the neighborhood to be a viable neighborhood full of life. At the time that I taught that class, it was inside of a small house that was eventually demolished. And when I saw what the church was doing in terms of building this beautiful church, I thought, I hope that they consider that counseling ministry, because it was housed inside of a house. But they didn't, and now it's too late. That counseling ministry is going to grow because it is a powerful ministry. I think they graduated about 40 people last year, so that's 40 cars you're talking about when you talk about having a counseling center right inside the neighborhood. Now, I don't have a PowerPoint presentation, but I would ask that you didn't see Ron and his wife, if they could stand up, you didn't see them. They not only have a home on Southburg, but they also invited their mother to buy a home on Southburg, and she found it as a beautiful place for refuge. I purchased because I could home over there, and I could raise my children in a natural environment. So I am asking you not to vote on this. Vote no. Do not vote yes. Because we need to maintain the integrity of the neighborhood. Is God still going to do his work in that church? Yes. He doesn't need the 47 parking spaces in order to do his great work. So I would ask you to vote no on this. Do not encroach upon my neighbor. Do not encroach upon Lee and her husband, Angel, who purchased another home on Southburg so that they could put a military man there. While he travels, it's a safe place for him to have a home. I'm not going to threaten you with votes, but these are 76 petitions of other people in Southburg who are saying, no, don't do this. And we still plan on being good neighbors with the church, but don't take and create parking spaces out of the yard space. Thank you.
My name is Davon Powers. I live at 23881 Sergeant Avenue. Purchased home in 2002. Early February 2002, I switched jobs and I was training in Columbus, Ohio. My wife called me and said, I found the perfect house for us. So I made the 4-hour drive from Columbus back to Southfield to see this house. Me and my wife were kind of at odds about what we wanted to do and what we wanted to spend on. My wife is a city girl through and through. I myself was raised by 2 country parents, and I wanted to live a little further away from the city. And what she described, she said, you're going to like it, and I'm going to like it. This is our little bit of country inside the city. The wildlife that we have is just amazing. The first time my daughter had seen a deer was in our own backyard. The first time she saw a frog was on our front porch. And as a father, I can't put into words what that means to have your daughter actually see animals alive and live in color instead of looking at them through a dictionary, which I had to do growing up in Detroit City. Now, I'm speaking on behalf of myself and my wife and my daughter, Barbara, with Missionary. And as you can see, New Hope is the only thing that's growing. Because I said, we purchased a house in 2002. That's a 13-month-old baby right there. Our neighborhood is growing. My family is growing. There's kids there that's there now that was not there in 2002 when I moved in. So I know that New Hope is growing, but my street is growing. My neighborhood is growing as well. So I'm asking you, I'm imploring you as a father, please save our neighborhood because it's not any like that left out there. Save it for me, save it for my wife, and please save it for my daughter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, council. My name is Angel, 23882 Sergeant. That was my wife that was up here a few minutes ago. And like she stated, I've been here since 1995 when the church first got started building. And I do recommend Reverend and Mr. Trout. They are, what we wanted in our neighborhoods as a church, beautiful church. And they're doing a great job as the way to keep it maintained. But that's not the point. It's the approaching to our neighborhoods that's what's taking everything away. It's not the people that comes in, the members of the church. It's just taken away from us. Back in 1995, 97, I believe it was, when I stood in front of the city council, one of the things that was brought up was a concrete wall, okay? We wanted that wall because we knew sooner or later we're going to be just doing what we're doing now. But we were told that the church couldn't afford the wall at that time, that we had to accept some picket fence or chain link fence or cyclone fence, and we didn't want none of that. We wanted a brick wall. But they decided, no, we had to make a choice. What about a 6-foot privacy fence? Mr. Van at the time was the planning. And we were forced, I'm going to say forced, to take that fence because the church couldn't afford it. And that's not the plan. The plan is what's going on now, to expand, take over. So like the young lady said, they're expanding. They're going to get bigger. They're going to want more space. Push us little people out. What's going to happen to that neighborhood then? Just like the gentleman said, he just brought his daughter out to bring them to Southfield here, and this is what's going on. I just disapprove. And I really pray on you to make the right judgment call. Thank you.
Mayor, City Council. My name is Les Wygum. I live at 21480 Plattsburgh. I lived there for 38 years. I'm an old resident, I guess. I am president of the Southfield Association, the association where the church is. And telling all the members, we are not against your church at all. We want your church to succeed. However, New Hope Missionary Baptist Church comes before you tonight to propose propose a plan to put parking lots in back of 2 residential homes, to convert 1 home to a counseling center, and to turn another back lot into a church picnic ground. Our neighborhood association vigorously opposes this intrusion. The church took advantage of the recent home mortgage crisis and purchased 3 foreclosed homes. They also have another 2. The neighborhood has no problem that these homes are rented and are in keeping with the residential character. However, this proposal under the special use ordinance was required to be reviewed by the planning department and then the planning commission. The planning department, in their review, did not support this incursion. It then went to the city planning commission. They listened to the church architect and reps, and in their formal hearing on January 28, 2015, voted unanimously 6-0 in opposition to this proposal. Their vote, and the young lady that was here wanted to know why, their vote was based on amendment ordinance 1446-8599, your city ordinance, which lists 8 standards which must be met before such a development can take place. They pointed out that in their opinion, not one of these standards were met. So let me reiterate these standards for you, in case you don't know. 1, residential character shall be maintained. 2, it should not hinder residential development of the area, nor negatively impact existing woodlands. 3, the property will act as a buffer between a residential development and a non-residential development. 4, location, size, intensity, and periods of operation of any such proposed use must be designed to eliminate any nuisance which may be adverse to occupants of any other permitted uses. 5, it must be in accord with the spirit and purpose of this chapter and not be inconsistent with or contrary to the objectives sought to be accomplished and principles of sound planning. 6, that vehicular traffic generated will not have an adverse or detrimental impact of the surrounding land uses or surrounding thoroughfares.
And your time is up, Mr. White.
What was that?
Your time is up. Your time is up. You have 3 minutes to address it.
I don't know what you're saying. 7, the proposed use.
Your time is up.
She said you had only 3 minutes.
You have 3 minutes to address it.
I beg your indulgence, since I'm president of the association, and since the church and their proposal had 3 people, I would ask just a little bit more.
And how much more? I'll give you another minute because you have spoken. Go ahead.
One of the things that the church occupies 4 acres and has 48,269 square feet of building. If they so desire, they could utilize some of this copious space for their counseling. A question was asked and answered, how much parking problem does the church have? Beginning in November of 2014, Angel Burgos, a resident who lives on Sargent, began monitoring the parking situation, both during the early morning service, 7:45, and the 10:45 a.m. service. Pictures, dated, and timestamps were taken. What we found was that every service from 23 November to 1 January, the parking lot was at most 1/2 filled. January 4th, mid-morning service, the front lot was filled, so the overflow lot was empty. By and large, the morning service was basically empty. They have 2 services, one 7:45 and 10:45. People come at the later service, the front service is empty. I would like to ask, I have contacted 92 of the residential associations, and we are starting that, getting it going again, and I guess I would ask any of the outside resident associations who are here to please stand, support, at least raise your hand. Thank you. Any of Southfield people who haven't spoken, please stand. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Evening, Council. My name is Robert Patrick. I reside at 30545 Long Crest. I'm a lifelong resident for the city of Southfield, and I'm also the president of the Oakland Hills subdivision. I grew up in this neighborhood over on Bird Road. I raised chickens in this neighborhood, and I showed them with the mayor and the state mayor. I delivered the Southfield Sun in this neighborhood. I purchased my first home in this neighborhood. The key word in my address tonight is neighborhood. You don't have parking lots in a neighborhood, you have neighbors. Council, I'm the reason why Louis was talking about the fence behind the church. When I lived on Sargent and the church was proposed, there was no fence in the original plan. The church wanted to landscape in our yards to buffer the property line. The neighbors were wondering, what does that mean, buffer the property line? It meant no fence. So my neighbors and I banded together and nominated me to speak to this body. When construction started, instantly we started to have problems. Trash blowing into our yards from the construction site, people wandering around the site on the weekends and off hours. One day during the church construction, my 6-year-old son was wandering and they were playing around in the backyard, and a man approached my son from the construction site. Thank God we had a Rottweiler, because I let her out and she instantly positioned herself between my son and the intruder. The intruder fled back to the construction site. This is the very reason why we insisted on a fence. Council, good fences make good neighbors, not parking lots. I beg you to listen and side with the residents and voters of this neighborhood. Thank you very much.
My name is Gerald Bond. I live at 29906 Parkerville Drive. I'm a member of New Hope Baptist Church, and I strongly urge the council to support this initiative. I also work for parking lots first Sundays, and I know firsthand, I've told many members and visitors that the parking lot is full, you have to go on the other side of the wall where the shuttle is running, a couple of blocks past Telegraph. I watch them go out of the parking lot and make a right. They don't go left toward Telegraph, they leave. And at the end of the day, I think the word of the day is compromise. And I think we've shown the willingness to do this. I think the buffer of one lot, separation between a neighbor, and like Jonathan Trout stated, between asphalt and a neighbor, there's a lot separation. So I think we've shown some willingness to take into consideration the neighbors and show some compromise and take what they say to heart and also do what we think is best for everyone. So I strongly urge council to support this initiative. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Teresa Johnson. I live at 28408 Tapper Drive here in Southfield, Michigan. I am Vice Chair of the Kingsley State Homeowners Association, and I was precinct delegate for my precinct. I own a business in Southfield, and the Tapper address is my second home that I've owned in the city of Southfield. I am here as a member of the Missionary Baptist Church. I am urging the council to support the proposal and vote yes. I am one of those people who, if I show up late, Mr. Bond is telling me to go across Telegraph Park. It's inconvenient sometimes with our inclement weather. It's dangerous, and as a single female walking that far in heels and hose, it becomes cumbersome. One of the things that somebody stood up that said that was in opposition of what we are trying to do is that we took advantage of the mortgage crisis to gain access to those homes. I say we took advantage of those homes. We took advantage of the mortgage crisis to enhance and support the community, which is what we do every day of the week. And it's not just on Sundays at the 10:45 service, and it's a 7:30 service, not 7:45, but we serve the community at large. And if, in fact, you allow us to have this extra parking, it will allow us to continue to enhance and support the community. And all we're asking you to do is to support us as we continue to support you. You have asked us to compromise, and we've done so. You've asked us to go back and revise the plans. We have done so. You've asked us to come up with a different way to configure the plan so that it doesn't encroach upon the community. Based upon the plans that have been submitted as of today's date and what happened last week at the meeting on the 16th, we have done so. So we're asking that you at this time now support us. Thank you.
My name is Beth Beamers. I live at 23830 Sargent. My property is a very nice property next to the home that they want to use as a center. Everybody was right. The front of that property will not
won't be able to see the difference to it, you know, people that live there, they can't tell the difference. But we live in our backyards. When we come home on the weekend and we want to relax just like you do, we want to be outside, and the backyard will not look the same to us. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but I haven't made any changes to my home, and my property values dropped this year already without the changes from the church. And people are telling me, of the friends that I asked, if you have these changes made to your backyard, nobody's going to want to be in your backyard. You're not going to be able to sell that property as a relaxing place to be when you're on your own. Now, when we talked about compromise, I lived there since 1987. I was involved in the first one where we talked about the fencing. And they wanted a chain link fence, which they said was cheaper for them. We said we would go with the wooden fence because it does make it still look natural. You know, you have a wooden fence, and we knew that they couldn't afford the brick fence, so we compromised. We did. And they asked us at that time, they wanted to buy some of our backyards. We said, this is the reason, and I let the other gentleman move from Battle Creek, which is a very natural nature area. And when I moved up here, it was the same thing. My mother said, why would you want to live 4 houses or 5 houses from Tillbrack Road? It's a major thoroughway. You're going to hear nothing but traffic. But we don't really have that in our neighborhood because we have large spaces. And that was one of the reasons why I moved here, just like him. But to change the backyards to that, again, we're going to be having just cars coming in and out. And as they said, well, they won't have anybody there after 10 o'clock. Well, they're going to exit, as I said, through to the church parking lot. We were told in the beginning there would be no breaks in that fence as far as gates or anything, so we would have the safety of our backyard. Now they're saying at 10 o'clock at night they're going to have people leaving this facility going through what? It's going to have to be a gate to get through over to that church. So again, the things that we were told back then, they're changing the issues now, and they want that just because they need a few more parking spaces. Now, it's a good church, as everybody here has been saying, and it's going to want to grow. What's going to happen when they need more than that? So maybe some of the church people need to carpool or something. It's not convenient, but as I said, everybody needs to compromise and look at more, different ways to do things. I agree with them. Probably shuttling from the VFW is probably not the answer. But we need to look at something else other than encroaching our space. Thank you.
Council, Mayor. My name is Harmon Gunther. I reside at 19101 East Bruce, Southfield. I am torn between the good works that the church is doing, but I also am in favor of the planning commission and their decision. The church has not lived up to the ordinances that you passed to regulate the site plan process. And therefore, the encroachment on the neighborhood is something that should be looked at more seriously. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, my name is Yolanda Haynes. I reside at 24501 Kensal Road. I was kind of torn too about this situation because I am a part of a homeowners association. We've had some issues down the line in regards to our neighborhood. But the main thing I want to talk about is the idea of the church being in existence already there, established. I could see if the church was never there. That would be a different thing. My thing is the church was already there. And if I move in a neighborhood, if I move behind Meyer or somewhere like that, I know that there's possibility there going to be some changes and things on the line. Now, I'm not knocking the people in the neighborhood to say, well, you knew the church was there. What do you think? Churches grow. The whole idea of a church is to serve a community. And what I hear most importantly, I have children, and some of you do the same here. You have children that work in the community, they might serve the community. And the main thing is kids need a place or somewhere they can go in families where they can celebrate and worship. This happens to be my church. The church is a vital resource in the neighborhood. Now, when we're talking about a house, they said the house is going to be there, it's going to have the same characteristics. That's fine. I'm not interested in what goes on in your house, if it's gonna keep the same characteristics. What I'm concerned about is when I pass in my street, is your house clean on the outside? Are you taking care of the houses in that neighborhood? That's what we're concerned. That's what brings your property value up. If you've been in your house over 10 years, you might want to do some work on it to bring your property value up. That's what takes away from the property of your house. Now, you're talking about deer. I just heard in one meeting, we had too many deer. So we got too many deer, we don't have enough. Okay, so the thing is, we want to have the church here to be a service to the community. And the church has done it. And yes, we do have sometimes where people do not attend the 7:30 service or maybe 10:30. I was at church yesterday. I started at 1 service. I left at 2 o'clock. That happens. Also, in the summertime, we have 1 service. There's still not enough room with the 1 service. And you're talking about vacant houses. We have vacant houses all over the city. To add, we are taxpaying citizens. When we leave the church, we shop in this area. We eat in this area. We support this area. And more people move into the area because of the church. For the people that are raised in families, your family will not be encroached upon in your backyard because of our church being there. And I really hate the fact to say that this is not God's design. A church is God's design for the community. It may not be a scripture that I can reference to say that was supported, but I know it's God's design. I will use the scripture where it says enlarge your territory, and if you want to use that, if you will, you can. But we are here to serve the community. I urge you to vote yes because I understand about the parking lot and the situation. It's not 47 states, but we're talking people's lives. That's more important than anything else. People's lives. Not a parking space, not a deer. People's lives. Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Marlene Thompson. I live at 23607 Drive in Southfield, Michigan. I am a member of New Hope Missionary Baptist Church. And I've been for a few years. I understand, what people on site understand. Also, there's a lot of good things that come out of New Hope. New Hope is a people's church. Now, the parking spaces that we're asking, just think how many more families are coming out of these parking spaces, that are for the good for them and for the church. And there's been times when I have come to church and could not get a parking space and had to leave. Now, consider also the handicap. Now, I've had 2 strokes, and I still come to church, and sometimes it's just too far for me to walk, from a parking space, to get to the church. Now, I assume that this would be a little closer, and considering the shuttle buses, I know that we're going to make a way to make it better, for everyone. But I still feel that we need these parking spaces for the good of the community and for our church. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Madam President, Councilmember. My name is Ebony Lewis. I live at 22342 Burke Road, Southfield, Michigan, 48033. I wasn't going to get up and speak. I'm for the church. I'm not a member of the church that I am. I'm a member of Triumph Church, one of the fastest growing churches. And everyone knows this. And the reason why I say that, New Hope is doing a lot of nice things. This is what churches do. I'm a faithful member of Triumph, that as churches grow, they need more parking spaces. And as they need more parking spaces, that's not going to stop there. What happens when we barely are granted these parking spaces? The church is to bring people to God. As they bring family members to God and individuals to God, saving lives. That church may outgrow. And as they outgrow, then they may need to go somewhere else. So when they move somewhere else, what happens with that space?
That's my question. What happens there? As a member of Triumph, we live on Northland. We're not finished. But at this present time, we have the Millennium Theater. We went from the Millennium Theater before we was there. We just bought a church out in Northfield. Before we were in Northfield, we was out in Canyon. We were in many places because we're growing. It's nothing against me. I love God. And I can't speak on anyone else. For those who do and those who don't, they are entitled to their opinion. But my thing is this here. When I moved to Southfield, I didn't like the deer. But they have grown on me. My neighbor Charlene, she knows the deer have grown on me. I talk to deer. I do. I work in the city of Detroit. I'm always rushing to work. I turn my bright lights on when I see them on the sidewalk. I tell good morning. I have nieces and nephews that come over. They are ecstatic. I have a 2-year-old nephew that lives in Windsor. He thinks Auntie Ebony's the best thing ever because she has deer. There's not a lot of life in my neighborhood. I'm a single woman. I didn't feel safe at first. My thing is, when the church is over with and you have random people walking around, cutting through parking lot, on the side of the house, where does the residents feel safe? How can you feel safe? Because when New Hope continue to grow and you have to go somewhere else to build, then what does that leave that space for? For what, more business to come here? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Doris Knudsen-Hill. I live at 22291 in Southfield. I am a member of New Hope Missionary Baptist Church, and we love deer. And I believe that I'm urging you to vote yes for this parking spot for 46 families to come to New Hope, 46 opportunities for people to worship with us. We're a part of the community. We even have health fairs, free flu shots. We help the community. And honestly, we can all get along, and we love animals, and we won't hurt the deer. They'll still come. Thank you.
City Council, my name is Lee Allen, I live at 21601 Sherman Avenue, Southfield, Michigan. 248-354-6721. When the association first talked about the church expanding, there was some concerns, and my feeling at the time was that churches make good neighbors. I still think that's the case. But some of the stuff I've seen that's been going on in this process has led me to question some of it. One hand, for instance, some of the things said tonight, one hand, someone says they're sure the architecture people will take care of the runoff problem. Yet the previous person had said people were having problems with their basements because of runoff. And that there's that full consultation thing. I've heard numerous stories that conflict on a number of factors here. Safety issues. Is it safer to step onto a shuttle van, than it is to walk a significant distance across the parking lot? For a kid, I don't know. I wouldn't take my bets on it, though. One also has to wonder, I'm hearing that there was a study done that's showing there's empty parking spots, yet everybody says the parking lots are full. There's a conflict here, something's not right. They own the VFW tunnel, there's lots of parking there. Certainly people with families or physical problems shouldn't have to walk that distance. It's not that far, though. It's 400 feet. They can drop people off. Maybe having more handicap places. There's lots of alternatives. One of the alternatives, I believe, that was suggested by the Planning Commission was talking to some of the businesses in the area. There's a number of businesses right there on the corner of 9 and Telegraph. How busy are they on Sundays? Would they permit the church to use some of the parking there? There are all sorts of compromises that have not been looked at closely as far as I can tell. I just get the feeling sometimes that when some people say compromise is the one that they said, but to compromise the way the Soviets used to do it, what's mine is mine, what's yours is negotiable. And you can't take away from the fact that when the parking lot goes into those residential properties, it does, it's going to negatively impact the value of those properties and everything on Sargent, and that's going to have a cascading effect through the rest of our neighborhood. That's all for tonight. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ron Mays. I live at 23890 Sargent Avenue. I live in between the proposed properties in this project. 10 years ago, New Hope bought their first home on Sargent next to my family and I, which started them down the path to more parking in the neighborhood. After a few years, they put up a stockade fence across the yard, splitting that yard in half. A while later, they took down the fence between that yard and their parking lot. From time to time, they would park a few cars in that area on Sundays. Seems the city told them they needed to replace the fence and that they would need to put together a development plan to turn that area into parking. They purchased a few more homes on the block and came to the neighbors and the city with a plan to add some parking in the garage. Both my neighbors and family, as well as the city, felt this was not wanted for our community. They bought some more homes and changed the plan to try to create a bit of a buffer zone. Again, we rejected this idea. They purchased yet another home and again changed the plan to attempt to create a larger buffer zone for additional parking, a picnic area, and a counseling center that's here before you today. Regardless of the size of the buffer created between our homes, the fact remains that talking to my fellow neighbors is that we don't want to be surrounded by three sides by this church and its facilities. We love our open yards and the wildlife that it brings. And it's a large part of the reason why most of us, if not all of us, purchased our homes where we did. A big part of the draw to our city now, and as it has always been, is homeowners can have a small part of the country life while still living in the city. And understandably, that's something my family and I are trying to keep. Tonight you've heard from a lot of people in favor of this project, and I've listened to all of them give their name and addresses. From what I could tell, only a few supporters live in the South Burke neighborhood, and only one lives on the street which this project is being proposed. This affects my property value and my quality of life, along with my family and neighbors. As I've stated at past meetings, the people that are pushing for this project, when it comes down to it, for the most part, at the end of the day, get in their cars and they go home. I ask this council to reject this proposal and remember one thing, and hopefully the most important thing, and that is, these are our homes.
Good evening, Council President. My name is Dorothy Lamb. I live at 22292 Prosper Drive, Southfield, 48033. I am a member of New Hope, and I have several items that I want to address. First of all, one of our members, Bishop Martin, talked a little bit about our youth program, and made reference to the fact that you folks have given resolutions just this day for programs. New Hope has a premier youth program. In addition to the things that Alicia Martin mentioned, I want to mention the results of the mentoring programs, scouting programs, the tutoring programs on a yearly basis, taking between 100 and 200 students to visit black colleges throughout the South. 100% of our high school students graduate. About between 90 and 95% go to college. Between 75 and 80% graduate college. So our programs are not just there, but they're meaningful. They're not just for members of New Hope, but they are open to the community. Secondly, I wanted to mention that I can identify strongly with the Herb Association and with the people who live on Sargent, because I'm not exactly sure how long ago it was that the Muir Corporation came to you asking to expand to a world headquarters on Elway, and my property backs up to theirs. And I was on the side of the community not wanting that to happen for many of the same reasons. And I'm not exactly sure how long they've been there. I think maybe 5 years, would you say? Okay. And I have pictures on my phone that I can show any of you where the deer are still looking in my windows. The raccoons, just last year, one started in my chimney and ended up under my bed. There's a groundhog that lives under my bed. There are rabbits. I have pictures of my grandson with frog in his hand that was just taken last summer. So none of the issues and problems associated with having the Muir Corporation and our fear of what that would mean has disturbed the rural feel of Prosper Drive. Anyone else in the audience wishing to address council on this matter?
Evening, council. My name is Ted Williams. I live at 30474 Knight Drive, Pumpkin Hill, Michigan, 48331. Many things have been stated here this evening. I'll be brief. Just want to clear up a few things. One is concerning the residents who attend our church. We have 2,100 members who are residents of Southfield that attend our church, 2,800 on road. That is a great number of residents of Southfield. Looking at the overall picture, what we're stating here concerning our parking and the way it is structured, and the way we are maintaining our church, in all of our efforts, they're pointed toward maintaining the integrity of the Southfield community and the neighborhood. It is my prayer that council will consider everything we said, that the church has a positive impact on the neighborhood opposed to a negative impact. I know from personal experience that I've seen families come and bring their children, relatives, different events, different children programs that we have. And I would like to see that in more communities. We have programs that will help young kids stay off the street. And this is one thing that will enhance our neighborhoods. This is one thing that adds value to our neighborhoods. It's programs that address the needs of our young people as well as our senior citizens. This is a couple of points that I really wanted to bring out, how our church impacts our neighborhood in a positive way. Thank you.
President, Mayor, my name is Curtis Stylo. I live on 21456 Sherman Avenue. I'm here to oppose this proposal on account, as previously been stated, it's for 46 parking lots, 46 spaces in a parking lot, and a counseling center. This is zoned a residential area. If this comes into it, it changes that zoning. Now, they've already purchased 5 pieces of property on the north side of this road. That leaves three other properties that have to be acquired before they can claim that whole side of the lot. And as the doctor stated, their church is growing and continues to grow. It's a good problem to have. The thing is they're piecemealing their total project. It's just the way things work for them. Instead of buying everything all at one time, saying they're happy with it. They were happy with it before. Now they're not. And as another lady said, maybe it's time for them to move to a larger church or a larger parking lot. I also heard that they own the VFW now. How large is that property there in comparison to where they're at now? And the purchases of these 5 properties that they have, they could have reinvested that into the interior of the church for the counseling center and maybe another bus for the shuttle service. Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wishing to address the council on this matter? Seeing none, we will declare the public hearing closed. Council, Ms. Seymour.
Thank you, Minister. This, I have a lot of thoughts. I'm probably going to be in the minority on this council, maybe not. Excuse me. I'm very familiar with the area. I've lived in Southfield a very long time, and I was involved in some of the environmental work in preserving what is now Horsetail Woods. But I'm very familiar with the Southfield neighborhood. And I remember when the church, before the church was built, they had a small white building. They built a beautiful building, a beautiful church. They do a lot of good work. No one denies that. It's a good church. I've always felt welcome there when they invited council for special events. That isn't the issue. The issue isn't that they do good work. They do good work. I don't know any church that's Christian that doesn't. I remember when parking was an issue several years ago, and there was a space kind of towards the telegraph that's still by the church that was going to, they were talking about, came to council and talked about turning it into parking, and the head of the church, the minister, the people that are in charge said they don't want to walk that far. And it was still on their property. They didn't want to walk that far in the wintertime. Still on their property. So the problem that I have, it's a good church, there's no question about that. But the fact that they do good work shouldn't fall to the neighborhood to say, okay, we'll accept a change in our lifestyle, we'll accept a change in our backyard, we'll accept a change on our street because the church does good work. The church is not being a good neighbor here. And I like the church. The people that live there matter. It's not about who pays taxes. They pay taxes in the neighborhood. The church doesn't pay taxes. The fact that their members pay taxes has nothing to do with this. To ask somebody else to say, you need to put up with the parking, you need to put up with an intrusion into your neighborhood. I go to the church and I don't want to put up with it, but I'm asking you to put up with it because the church does good work. I find that hypocrisy. I'm supporting the neighborhood on this, and I'm opposing this because I think the church is outgrowing its site, and that's a wonderful thing to have. Most churches will find a larger site and move. And somebody said, well, what will happen to this site? Well, probably a smaller church will come in. It's a site. I really don't have anything against this church, like I said, it's great church and good work. The people in the neighborhood shouldn't be the ones forced to pay the price of intrusion into their neighborhood, into their backyard, into their way of life because of parking spaces. I don't understand why people can't be bused from the VFW building. That just doesn't make sense to me. If you don't want to be bused, fine, but that's a good possibility. I cannot support something that interferes with the life of a very wonderful neighborhood, and even on that street. Right now, it's just that street. A little later on, it could go further. It's not right to me that these people should have their life turned upside down because the church needs more parking spaces. I'm sure I'm going to be in the minority here tonight. I hate to say that, but I agree with the planning commission. They voted unanimously. The planner voted unanimously. It's not that the church isn't a good church. It's a good church, but that isn't the issue. The issue is coming into a neighborhood, disrupting their lives, asking them to make concessions because people that come there, don't live there, but come there, need more places to park and don't want to get on a shuttle bus and go back and forth and VFW. You know, the neighborhood is making all the concessions here, and I don't think that's right, and my vote is against this proposal. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. This is probably one of the most thorny issues that council has had to face in a long time, probably since the Walmart controversy. I consider myself a neighborhood person. I'm concerned about the environment, and although I live in Magnolia neighborhood, at 8 Mile in Southfield, we have lots of deer in our neighborhood too. I'm looking at this issue, and things change. As time advances, things change. Land use changes. Community needs change. Public interest and priorities change. You know, we looked at a prime example right now is Northland. 60 years ago, Northland was a destination shopping center, it was a shopping mecca, and that's no longer true, and we have to adjust to that. Yesterday, I've been on Garden Street many, many times, but yesterday I took the opportunity to go over and walk the entire street. I took note that of all of there are 18 homes on the street. The street isn't what it once was. Of the 18 homes, only 8 now are owner-occupied. Things change. The church has changed. I've been to the church for services. I've been to the church for funerals. I have walked, and sometimes I've parked in the parking lot. There's no question that the church needs more parking, and I am concerned as a councilman about the safety of the parishioners coming to and from church. I find that, in looking at this, that I wanted to see a compromise. And so I called Reverend Roberson, who I've known for 25 years or more, and worked with him on the Martin Luther King task force. Matter of fact, we met at the church back in when we were co-president of MLK. And I know the church to be good neighbors. I believe they're people of their word. I also know that they took that stretch of 9 Mile that really was rather seedy with a small white country cinder block church and some ranch homes that were not in very good repair, and they put up a beautiful edifice that they've maintained, and one community private works. So in talking to Reverend Robertson, I had, as I mentioned last week, we don't get to see the Planning Commission's deliberations until this is officially coming to council. So on Friday evening, I received the Planning Commission minutes that go back over 2 years. And in rereading those, one issue clearly to me is the fence. And yesterday, honestly, when I walked the church property as well as walked Sargent Street, the fence is in need of repair. And I would ask the church to address the fence issue. In places, the fence is leaning over onto their own property, but still, it doesn't have what I would consider a Southfield standard. I also asked the pastor if the church were to grow to a point where it needed to move, would he agree that this could be conditional agreement? In other words, that if we agree to this, that the approval would only be for the life of Hope United, New Hope Missionary Baptist Church on this property or on this site. Reverend Robertson indicated to me, absolutely yes. Also, looking at the property, these yards are 250 feet deep. I asked last week, did you have plans to tear any of the houses down, change anything on the street? They said no. Again, when you drive down, even though the 5 of the homes on the street are owned by the church, you wouldn't know it unless you somehow knew that you were just passing through. The issue of the use of the house, it's hard for me not to approve this because we have child care at homes. We have beauticians working out of homes. We have accountants doing tax returns out of homes. I believe the pastor and the church members who said the counseling center will only have set hours and people will go through the rear entrance to the counseling house. And there will be no parking whatsoever on Sargent, even for the counselors. The other reason why I find this hard to turn down is that this is not a precedent. One of the people that Mrs. Lamb, who lives on Prosper, I remember the whole situation with Lear and the extension of parking. This council approved the extension of parking for the Southfield Funeral Home on 12 Mile. Again, for the very same reason. You had people walking into the funeral home because there wasn't enough parking. Houses were torn down behind the funeral home to allow for more parking so that people were not crossing the thoroughfare. We allowed Lawrence Tech on Circle Drive to buy property and build a dormitory. We allowed the Buddhist temple on Beach to add parking and fencing. We have allowed businesses just down the street here to remove homes for parking. The building that's under construction has parking that was once a single-family home. So this is not a precedent. It's also, reading the minutes and how the plan has changed and evolved over the years, the fact that the church is willing to pull back a little bit on the parking. The lots are 250 feet deep. The house on either side, the parking will be in the center, two houses. The other properties are buffered from parking. I think they've made a very good faith effort, and I also believe that the church has been a very good neighbor. I also have to tell you, I've been on council 14 and a half years. We've had a number of people, every time there's progress, someone has said, oh, there goes the neighborhood, or it's going to be more traffic, it's going to be this or that thing is going to happen. And, honestly, those things have not come to pass. They have not come to pass. It's progress. Things change. Nothing stays the same. And we have to adjust to that. This 46 spaces and this counseling center and the picnic area are not going to change the quality of life in South Berg. They are not going to drive the deer out. They are not going to change South Berg goes right down to 8 Mile. I'm very familiar with Sherman Avenue. I know people, a number of people I'm close to live on Sherman. It's not going to change. We're talking about a relatively small space and a very deep yard. And so I am going to be supporting this request this evening.
Madam Chair? Madam Chair, it's a difficult situation because we're talking about a church that has a lot of good in the neighborhoods and to not only our residents, but a lot of those who visit our city. But, we just had a meeting with the Coalition of Homeowners a couple of weeks ago, and I had over 100 people there. And really the theme was protect neighborhoods. Keep them safe, keep them secure, keep them clean, and keep the neighborhood in good shape. I also went down on Sargent Street to become familiar again with the situation. I was very surprised that the fence that you mentioned, Mr. Seibert, was in enough bad repair. Code enforcement should have been over there. I look at comments made. I too have only read every minute of all these things that came in from our various committees, but this has actually gone back. I picked up here back in May 20th, 2013. We appreciate the feedback we have received thus far, and we want to look at alternatives. Nothing has changed. Then back in September 9th, 2013, we appreciate the feedback and time provided by the Planning Commission. We are continuously exploring options, and trust will provide a viable solution. Nothing has changed. So throughout, the only thing that's changed is that purchase more houses. And if you look at page 2 of the site plan, I think it becomes very, very obvious if you follow the development of what's happening. You have almost all but 3-4 lots that are completely used by the church. You have a picnic area. You have another area where, I don't know if that's a walkway or driveway that goes behind the one house. You have the parking lots. And what you can see very obviously is that the other houses are going to go, and the people who are left on the south side of Sargent are going to be looking at either parking lot or some of the suggestions that planning has said is maybe take a line and go all the way through the back. We'd take less property impact to the residential, put up a brick wall and put parking all along the back. The whole length of the church, and put parking and stop intrusion into the neighborhood. But like I said, each time that I read these minutes, there has been obviously commission asking to go back and look at options until 2015, and then came back, and then there was a brick wall that was supposed to be built, and a brick wall was supposed to go in, the wood fence was installed. Commissioner Griffiths noted that the biggest issue was to use a single-family house as a commercial use. So there's concern already what's happening. There needs to be separation between the business and country setting. The proposal will be changing the character of the area. You know, shifting of the detention pond, that's a positive thing. Moving the detention pond would give additional parking. And that's what the chairman stated. Throughout all these minutes that we had before us, the thing that runs through not only that there's 8 violations, but that there's no privacy. There was having fellas that came home at night, having marching band in the alley just to distract us. Just the other day I got off work, I'm ready to go home and relax. There's a marching band going on in the back and bouncing off the building. I have a videotape of this. So the people who are there have some serious problems and try to protect the quality of life. And then here you go again. I mean, their property values in the church buys up more and more, and who knows how long this will go. We feel threatened, frankly. And that's what people feel when they're uneasy with this expansion towards their homes, and you see their values maybe not increasing to 13% like others have throughout the community. You know, they feel threatened. And there's got to be some kind of solution where the residents and the church can come to a resolution of this situation. You know, churches can make concessions as well as people. And when churches really want to protect the residents, be good neighbors, you know, I think some of the suggestions that the planner had made, you know, if you take, for example, this one-page street there, and you put a wall all the way through, I think it's, how many feet? I can't even read it, it's too small. How many feet is the frontage of this property? I mean, what is it, 1,082? Something?
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
Can I answer? So, again, as the mayor indicated, if I could, the planning commission suggested squaring off the property if they were able to acquire this residence. And at the time, he's not ready to sell. Planning commission said, look westward and expand the parking where the detention pond is. And then there's a commercially zoned parking that's just vehicular parking. And that would, again, square off the property and keep the parking north of Sargent properties. If that isn't viable, the planning commission said, you know, if they could just get 20 feet all the way across the whole property, they could have perpendicular parking. Now, just as a reference point, these 4 parcels here, there's roughly 340 linear feet. And you could get 32 parking spaces side by side based on our standard of 10-foot wide parking space. So the mayor's question is, if you more than double that, 640, I would say there's at least 700 linear feet. And just giving a few feet on either side, you probably could get 68 to 70 spaces all along that southern boundary with only a 20-foot incursion into the rear yards. So those were solutions that we were trying to resolve and work with the church and try to balance the needs of the neighborhood. And I think that's what the mayor was referring to.
Yeah, and also, if you look at that second page, you know, it doesn't take much to see what's going to happen everything north of Sargent's gonna go. The ones that are there won't be able to stay, will become a nuisance, and then when that goes, everything to the south is gonna be threatened. And, you know, we see this, we just got through one at Lois Lane, going about an academy that was going to come out on Lois Lane, and they all got upset, trying to figure out how in the world we could stop the academy from pouring out on Lois Lane. And we had Bradford Academy, we screwed up an entire beautiful subdivision because of the noise and some of the things that are going on at the school. And I guess I go back to the coalition that we met with and listened to them, and we talked about how this coalition's got to come together, got to work together, and create a quality of life in this city. And we see this item come before us today, it's contrary to everything that we talked about with the coalition. And the thing that we are saying to protect, we are not protecting. And so I just think that there is resolve on this, but this is not the right answer. And I think they went back in 13 and explored other options. They went back in 15. And I think they can take more time and look at another option without intruding into the residential.
Yeah, just briefly, just wanted to mention that, I mean, this is very difficult for me as well in terms of trying to meet the needs of both sides of this conversation. And all I could continue to think of was NIMBY, but not in my backyard. And the change is difficult, and it's hard sometimes for us to project out what the actual effects are going to be long term. I mean, we have some ideas of these things, but you don't know until the change actually takes place. Certainly in favor of neighborhoods. I was at the neighborhood association meeting as well, and one thing we find in there is that there's a diversity of ideas about what should go on in the neighborhood. And so, again, everybody's not always going to be necessarily happy with certain decisions being made, but from my understanding and from my track record of knowing what Hope has been doing over the years, it's been very positive. It's been positive for the neighborhood. They got a good track record, and I can just see that, that this move would actually maybe even to some degree help strengthen the area as well. I don't see the safety issues myself as well when I review plans and so forth that some people have mentioned. So I'm inclined to be in support of the church on this particular issue.
I have, should you want to say something? This is one of those incidents or situations where you really have to look hard as a petitioner, and you have to look hard as a resident in the neighborhood, making sure that you can reach a balance. Sometimes it does and it does not occur. Pastor Robeson and I talked again over this weekend, just how we can make this a balance between what's being asked as well as the neighborhood and the resident. And arriving at that delicate balance is very, very difficult. I see that the church and the pastor is willing to make some compromises, which is moving me closer to a decision of which I'm favorable. However, when you look at the needs of the community at large, not only Southfield, but at large, you need, and I believe the community today, the Lighthouse, and we need organizations such as this that will attack the issues of the families and our young people and our seniors, and keeping families together and keeping people stable with all the pressures that life gives. I just see the need that this church has with expanded parking. I've been there on a number of occasions, and the last time I was there, I had to park. I don't know how I parked, but I parked. It was very, very difficult to squeeze into parking there. The not in my backyard is always an issue that we have to deal with. So it's hard to make a decision with situations like this, but you have to vote. I have voted in the past. Somebody sent me an email. If you're going to vote for this because you're part of the church in the city, and that's not true. Because I have voted against the church going into the neighborhood, the one on Beach. I voted against that because I saw it being an intrusion into the neighborhood. But in this instance, I don't see it. It's a different set of circumstances. I'd like to ask the pastor one last possible concession. If you could come up, you as well as the architect and your... Excuse me, we've had the public hearing already, and you've already spoken, and now it's council's turn. So I'm going to ask the police officer to remove her if she will not be quiet.
You don't have to gladly, we just joke.
Thank you. And you have made many concessions. And I'm going to ask you if you consider making one more. If it can't be done, I understand. Would you agree not to add any more parking spaces in the future than what's been added tonight? Can you do that, or will you? And if you can't do it, that's okay.
We would certainly not add any more parking to that particular nuance, but there's property on the other side.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about, just this particular parking.
We will not encroach on that anymore.
Okay, I think that's another concession that you all are willing to make, and I believe that that is very, very important to the residents in that area, because we don't want, in another 5 years, that somebody comes back and asks for an additional concession. So thank you very much. Thank you.
While they're there, could I ask them about the tax?
That fence will be repaired. Sometimes during the winter when the snow plows and things of that nature. So once the weather is right, I already have a person assigned to take care of that.
Now there is a masonry fence or wall at beyond the picnic area. Does the picnic area have, would you put a masonry fence there?
I'm assuming we're going to have to work with Mr. Crowe, so we should work through those issues. We will put whatever fence is necessary in order to acquire.
Okay. I think that would go a long way, and there were so many comments in the minutes about the fence. And we heard it again tonight.
We're going to work with council.
And I just appreciate, again, just putting something else on the table for you to consider, and you're willing to do that. So thank you very much, and I believe that we're ready to entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I'd just like to make one other comment. Even if this is approved, it has to go before the ZBA for setback waivers and all waivers. And so those who are here, that they have also another hearing before the ZBA.
Mr. Crowe.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to remind the council there's two items. There's a special land use on religious institutions, and there's a number of items that should be addressed with the special land use, and then there's the site plan, and they do overlap. The council could vote to deny tonight. They could vote to approve. They can vote to approve with conditions, and they could table based on the amount of information that we received, so that if they are inclined to approve with conditions, staff could at least try to assemble whatever conditions that you have, so we'll share what they are. But I do want to take just a minute to talk about the issues you should address one way or the other. The hours of operation, and I believe I requested an email of what the proposed hours of operation are and handed that out to you. So you should define the hours of operation if you're inclined. That is a special land use. The wall is required, so if the wall is not to be constructed, then a waiver would be required to put in a fence. There should be a cross-access easement and reciprocal parking agreement because the parking lot is actually on separate parcels. The setback waiver that's required as part of the special land use would have to be addressed through a waiver. And then there's some site plan issues that can be done through site plan, like the tree removal, drainage, and issues like that could be addressed by staff as a condition of approval. So whatever way the council goes, please try to address those issues. And we'll try to take notes and compile what those conditions are, either tonight or a later meeting.
Well, I'm going to entertain that at this time, a motion to approve.
I would like to see a conditional approval that this applies only to New Hope Missionary Baptist Church, and in the future, if the church moves or ceases to exist, see that happening, but it is conditional on this particular petitioner. It would not carry over to another entity.
Can I weigh in on that? In essence, though, you're being asked to give a special land use for purposes of a church in a residential neighborhood. So if another church came in, you've already, by giving the special land use, you said to another church, you have approval. If some other type of operation came in, I would absolutely agree that this is limited to a church use.
Let's say a theater.
Right, this is for a church use, that's what you've given your special land use approval. So a theater coming in would not be the beneficiary of this special land use. But if another church comes in, we've given the special land use for a church. So I just kind of wanted to make that kind of differentiation.
So you're saying it would be difficult not to carry forward?
For another church, But any other type of special use permitted operation, absolutely, this would not be applicable.
I was just trying to address, the question was asked, well, what happens if the church moves?
If I could just say, we have no plans of moving in the near future. We don't even see that down the road. We're happy being residents here in Southfield. We're happy where we are. That's why we're going through all the trouble to obtain.
Well, then could the conditional zoning or the conditional approval be related only for a church use and not for any other use?
Right, and I think that's exactly what if you grant this today, that's what you're getting it for.
Yeah, if I could clarify, it would be for religious institutions.
Well, synagogue,
so it's
church,
clear.
right, religious.
It has to be similar to religious institutions.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Mr. Cruz to approve 1266. Any questions on the favor?
Could we also have clarification? There's no motion taking into consideration all of the concessions that were made, conditions that have been talked about tonight? Are you incorporating those, for example, the reduction of parking spaces to the 46?
Yes.
The hours of operation, all of those things that we talked about are within the motion.
Right. Reverend Robertson told me that the council wouldn't go beyond 9 o'clock.
10, I said 10.
I thought the staff left at 10.
The staff leaves at 9. And
So the council leaves at 9, the staff leaves.
Right.
But
Nothing
definitely a
past
couple of people.
10, nothing past 10 p.m.
Yeah, no overnight.
Everything dark, shut down, locked down.
And it is the back entrance only.
Back entrance only.
For all people that use that house.
Right. There will be no parking in the driveways for counselors or for
Nothing on Sergeant Street.
Right, nothing.
Yeah.
I think it would be appropriate to clarify start time as well.
I don't know the start time.
That depends upon what time we have appointments, 9 a.m., that depends upon when the council is available and the council is available. I'd say 9 a.m. to 8 p.m.
So 9 a.m.?
Yes, we have programs at the church at 8 a.m., so I'd say 8
Well, then
a.m.
8 to 10
Yes.
p.m.
I was just gonna say, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yeah, I will roll call. So we have a motion by Mr. Geiger with the additional adjustment to the amendment, support by Mr. Cruz, and I do want a roll call vote. Thank you.
Ms. Seymour,
No.
Mr. Seibert,
Yes.
Mr. Cruz,
Yes.
Ms. Jordan.
Yes.
The motion to approve this as presented.
And we'll also take the site plan. And that's SC 300. We need a motion.
Move to support, site plan, 1300, special use. Site plan review request from George Harvey, architect.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Cruz, supported by Mr. Snyder,
I have another question.
to approve SC 300 special use. Mr. Snyder.
There are several, we have a tree ordinance, and there are several large trees that I believe that you're going to need to remove a couple of very large trees on the property.
Yes, there are some trees that will be removed. The bulk of the trees that are coming down are either dead or they're invasive species, or they're elm trees or ash trees. There are several, what I'll call good specimen trees that are coming down. You do have to replace those according to the city tree ordinance.
This isn't part of the site plan, but again, walking the property yesterday, I think you need a tree trimmer. The pine trees in front of the house that you're proposing for the counseling are practically dead, a lot of dead branches. I think you could use a tree trimmer on the property. That's just a suggestion.
Yes, we will accommodate that.
And then our tree ordinance requires that you replace trees, and take trees down. I guess you know that.
Yes, and we certainly have city staff to review our plans and make sure that we're following the ordinance.
Mr. Crowe has a comment.
Yeah, it's a very formulaic. There's trees that you can remove by right. There's landmark trees, and there's a formula for tree replacement. You will need to follow that. I just wanted to get clarification on whether or not they're going to install a wall or fence, because that would either trigger a waiver requirement or not.
When the church was approved, 1997, I believe, 96, we went through the process of gaining a variance to erect.
Excuse me, Mr. Hartman, if we can have the people in the audience to hold your conversation, sometimes it gets difficult for us to hear, so you can be quiet and respect the person that's speaking at the mic. Thank you.
We did receive a variance to erect the wood-style fence, and I believe that's what we're requesting around our development area and also around the picnic area. There was a question brought up about fencing between the detention pond. The detention pond right now has a chain link fence around it, which is required and was approved as part of the original site plan approval. We will be putting a gate across. It won't be a chain link gate. It'll be one of the pipe rail type gates that closes and locks to keep people from entering these spaces after hours.
So, just through the chair, I just want to be clear, if that's your intent, you will have to seek a separate waiver, because this is a separate property. Your waiver was granted on the main property. Okay?
Okay, Madam Chair, I just like one last comment. You know, this is sending a message to the coalition, to every neighborhood in the city. You know, what we're just discussing now about the trees, whether it's going to be a brick wall or it's going to be whatever, there's going to be an expansion. There's money's in the wall. They're going to buy the other houses and expand all the way to Sargent Street. We're going to lose, you know, that whole north side of Sargent. So, I mean, that's reality. That's reality. Just look at the site plan, you see that. And I just think the council's got to take some stand somewhere, and this was a good place to take it.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Cruz, supported by Mr. Stiles. All in favor? Let's do a roll call.
I have one more thing to say. I would really urge you to put up, find the money and put up a masonry wall. I appreciate that you want to repair the existing, but it's just over and over again, and it'd be another part of your compromise with the neighborhood. And it would be respectful. I think it would improve the overall appearance of your own property, quite honestly.
Okay, the impression was we were trying to keep the configuration of the neighborhood because their other fences similar, so we were trying to make it seem like we were part of the neighborhood.
I hear people say that they want a masonry wall.
Well, yeah, we can, I'm not in favor of a masonry wall. I think we can have a nice decorative fence along.
But the ordinance requires it for the special use. That the ordinance requires it for a church in a residential neighborhood. It specifically says there has to be this masonry wall. So if you didn't put that up.
We will put up a masonry wall.
Okay, you'd have to go to the ZBA. That'd be the only way around it.
We will put up a masonry wall, whatever you say.
Okay. Are we ready for the vote? No. We're going to do a roll call vote.
Mr. Cruz?
Yes.
Ms. Seymour?
No.
Mr. Stiver?
Yes.
Ms. Jordan?
Yes.
Made the motion to approve the site plan on this one.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The next, we'll move to the next item on our agenda, and that is the communication portion. And we'll begin with Jamie White. Okay, we're going to see if Jamie White is here. Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't see you walking down.
Okay, thank you. My name is Jamie White. I live at 19742 Melrose, Southfield, Michigan. I have been coming to council, and thank you, by the way, for accepting my request. I live with a neurology nerve disease that is called complex regional pain syndrome, reflex symptomatic dystrophy. Back in 2006, I went to State Representative Virgil Smith and asked him to help me get a law passed for the entire state of Michigan. The condition that I have is not Republican, nor is it a Democrat. It is a people issue. I will be turning 61 this coming Sunday. This condition has taken a lot from me, but not enough where I won't continuously come back to ask that the city of Southfield, and I will be speaking in Detroit on tomorrow, to ask legislation to put the meat of this law, which is Public Act 678-2006, back into effect so a proper appropriation can be made. What this law will do, it will educate the medical field, the insurance companies, and the general public. Most doctors that I have encountered with over the last 11 years said it was a psychological problem, like I don't know when I'm hurting. Most females have psychological problems, which is what was told to me. I went from a size 10 shoe to a man's 13 double wide shoe. Something's wrong with the picture. The children that are being affected by this, they're saying it's the mother's fault, or the grandmother's fault, or the aunt's fault. They say, I have neuropathy, I'm not diabetic. They say, I have, they say I have gout. My uric acid is not over 0.6. I have had this condition 11 years. 10 of these 11 years, I have been pain medication free because I have learned that I don't need the medication because the medication doesn't work on nerve conditions. The medical field needs to learn how to teach proper coping skills so that people can deal with this. It's not a mental issue.
All right, and your time is out, Ms. White. And I do see a representative from Mr. Moss's office here. Can you wave your hand? And can
Yeah,
sure, you can do that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pamela Gerald, P.O. Box 155, Southfield, Michigan 48037-0155. Mr. Williams left. I wanted to thank him. He said that he was from Farmington Hills and he's speaking up in Southfield. It just goes to show that passion has no address. I can still be reached at 248-346-0439. Saying that, I am honored and humbled that you, Sylvia Jordan, a Republican candidate for Southfield Mayor, continue to make me and my presence very relevant at these city council meetings. The employees and the residents in this city, the great city of Southfield, know several things about me, and they are as follows. Number one, I have always been a strong advocate for public safety. I spoke over a year and a half about getting a permanent police and fire chief, for accepting the SAFER grant, for hiring more firefighters, and for hiring 2 cadets that waited for over 3 years to get a permanent job. I have always been a strong advocate for fair labor negotiations for all the employees that work in this city. The city has browbeat, duped, bamboozled, and forced concessions to help the city's finances become whole, and how do you repay them? You hire city administrator Fred Zorn, who is a non-resident, give him a raise, and now he's making a hell of a salary. You promote Shelley Freeman to Business and Economic Development Director, and you pay her a starting salary of $90,150. She doesn't live in Southfield. And Business, Economic Development, Northland, need I say more? You have disrespected all the employees in this city by not giving them their just due, and that's a raise in at least 8 to 15 years, and some people working for this city haven't had a raise at all. I have always been a strong advocate for the residents, helping them to resolve their issues, and I am not
and I repeat, not an elected official. I am, Madam Chair, a God-appointed and God-anointed problem solver, an independent voice, and a person you can always count on. Sylvia Jordan, you can't destroy what God has put in place. Lastly, I have always been a regular attendee at these city council meetings for about 29 years. I don't get paid to be here like you get paid to be here. And sometimes I've been the only person in the audience here spectating at these meetings. So in closing, Pastor Jordan, you could go to any department in this city, any resident, and attempt to slander my name and character. It won't work. Remember, favor ain't fair. God has truly elevated me and given me favor, and that's something that you will never be able to break. Thank you, Lord.
All right, before I invite the next person to this particular mic, I've got to address the issue that Ms. Gerald and others seem to be seeping in the community, that I am a Republican. I was a Republican. I ran for a Republican office. However, I am now a proud Democrat. In fact, I've been a Democrat for a long time. Why don't you call up to Lansing and check the record? Putting politics aside, I govern from this seat in a nonpartisan position. City council and office of mayor is nonpartisan. I was elected to serve as a councilwoman for over 17 years, and I do it representing all the citizens of the city. I will continue to serve the residents of the city. I will continue to govern to look out for all the residents of the city. And this issue, in my opinion, is null and void. And again, Ms. Gerald, you live in Farmington Hills, and there are probably more Republicans out there. And I will go on to the next person, and that's Mr. Gerard.
Madam President, my name is Gerard Mullen. My address is Post Office Box 155, Southfield, Michigan, 48037. According to the Southfield Sun, the one newspaper that every Southfield resident gets a copy of for free, this council last February 23rd passed a marijuana ordinance. I believe that this was premature and dumb. Here's why. Earlier this evening, everyone in these chambers, including each and every member of this council, took the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, to the United States flag, and not to the state of Michigan flag. There is a good reason for this. It's rooted in Article 6, Paragraph 3 of the U.S. Constitution. Paragraph 3 makes it clear that the first allegiance of all Americans, including each member of this council, is to the U.S. Constitution and not to the state of Michigan Constitution. Article 6 is called a supremacy article, and for a good reason. Paragraph 2 states that U.S. law, and I quote, shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, unquote. Let me repeat that. The U.S. Constitution states that the U.S. law, and I quote, shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, unquote. In other words, the U.S. law against marijuana use is the supreme law of the land. And every Michigan judge, including each and every Michigan State Supreme Court judge, is obligated to enforce this law, the U.S. law, that prohibits the use of marijuana. Whenever there's a conflict between the state and national law, the U.S. Supreme Court is the final arbitrator, and not the Michigan State Supreme Court. I believe that this was wrong for this council to pass the marijuana ordinance on February 23rd, because it was in violation of Article 6 of the U.S. Constitution, and also it is a repudiation of the Pledge of Allegiance that this council took earlier this evening to the flag, to the United States flag. What this council should have done last February 23rd was to continue the moratorium for 90 days past the date from whenever the U.S. Supreme Court finally resolves this issue. Sometimes it's better to punt simply pass or run with the ball. This was such a time. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you.
The next item, the next person wishing to address the council is Vanessa Thrasher.
Good evening, Mayor, and President, and City Council. We wouldn't be busy or even hot here today. I'm here to ask the board how we can change the section 4.25 of the city charter. I've been trying to conduct a referendum petition to get the gay rights amendment that was ordinance that was passed at the last city council meeting on the ballot for the voters to vote on. And I ran into great difficulty in even getting out of the gate. It took 3 days to get a petition because, from my understanding, the state legislature rewrote it. So our city clerk's office didn't have one for 3 days. Then it took another 5 days to get the language approved by the city attorney. So I lost almost 8 days. The charter only gives you 30 days from the date of enactment of an ordinance to do all, to get the petition, get the language approved, then get your signatures. So I was really at a disadvantage. My petitions have to be turned in this Wednesday by 5 p.m. And I'm asking, is there any way I can have indulgence to have an additional 8 days because of the law, which was not my fault. 3 days to get the petition and then 5 days to get the language approved. So here's an appeal.
I would defer to the attorney.
The charter specifically provides 30 days. The only way a charter provision can be changed, obviously, is through a charter amendment. So that in and of itself would have to go on the ballot for approval. So there's really no provision for council to wait or extend that. But I would like to say that the first petition language that was put in front of me was on a Thursday. I noted what the changes were, what the problems were with the language, gave that back to Mrs. Thrasher the very same day. The next day, another proposed petition appeared, and I addressed that one that very same day on a Friday. And at that point, thought, I understand her 30-day situation, so I gave her the exact language that I would approve. So as of the second day, Friday, she had exactly the language that I would approve. It specifically stated what did the ordinance do, and that was to prohibit discrimination on the basis of all of those classifications, race, color, sex, marital status, family status, not just picking out sexual orientation or gender identity. So it's not fair to say that I took 5 days to approve it. I gave her the exact language on Friday. We then got another petition format on Saturday. I was in Saturday. I responded to that. It was picked up Monday. It then came back with language that pretty much tracked what I had given her on Friday, but it changed the order. That was fine. I did approve that one. So, again, I don't think it's really fair to say that it took 5 days in my office. She had approved language on the second day. But no, there's really no provision to change the charter other than a charter amendment.
So there needs to be another petition referendum to change the charter. That's the answer to the question?
Yes, it would have to be a charter.
Thank you.
Council, state legislators early. I was going to speak, but I decided to stay on. I noticed when we were having the going back and forth about the church and all, the issue came up about the coalition. My concern is, I kept hearing a lot about the coalition. I think we need to really take a look at defining a coalition, because from what I'm hearing, is that coalition just going to be a one-sided thing where we're just going to say no to everything, or we're not going to have this, we're not going to have that? Because in moving forward, we have to look at the next generation of people that are coming here. There are certain things that this city does not have that some of the people in the next generation are looking to have. I convinced my daughter to stay here in this city. And with some of the things that are going on, and their generation of people, they may be moving from this city if we are not addressing some of these issues that they have some concerns on. So we don't want to, my suggestion is to not just take stakehold in the people that are in the homeowners association. We do want to hear them, but we need to bring people from all different areas in this city and have a voice in this coalition to talk about what we would like to see. Because what I don't want to keep hearing is no to everything. I'm not just talking in terms of the church, but we need growth here in different areas, cultural things that we would like to see. I commend you for the master program, but I'd like to see something implemented. So I hope that this coalition addresses some of those things, where we're not just having a bunch of naysayers saying, we don't want this and we don't want that. There's change that has to come. It has to come. And I've been in places where I've seen churches and residents reside in the same community, on the same street, in the same area, and also businesses. I heard of one business, I talked to in particular years ago, and I'm not a fan of this place, the Golden Corral. I said, why don't you guys come to Southfield? He said, you really think we should? I said, yeah, that was when my daughter was graduating from high school. I don't prefer that place, but we voted them down. And if we keep sending a signal that we don't want this place, I heard that one person said, oh, we won't have that kind of place here. Well, if we won't have that kind of place, what are we going to have? Are we going to continue to have people going outside of here to go to places that they really enjoy? You know, I've been to Boston, I've been to some of these legal city places where we've had things. Those cities are thriving. I'm not saying they're not thriving, but we need to really take a look at what do the next generation of people want to see and how we can embrace them in making a decision on helping with this as well. So I hope that coalition addresses that and not just continue or start off being in a body's way. That's just my thought. Thank you.
I'd like to add to that I would agree with you, and that I would hope that it's a positive force. The coalition that died, that we had years ago, tended to be rather negatively focused. And I know that while I was not a regular attendee, people on my neighborhood board were, and they stopped going because it was not a positive force.
That's why they're coming to the meetings. The next generation, they don't want to meet just to meet. They want to make some things happen, and they want to see it happen. I think we need to embrace those people that want to do that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Charles, please.
Good evening. I'm so glad I'm in the city of Southfield, for the city council, because I've been in other cities, and they will give you a piece of paper, tell you write your question down and hand it to them, and they can't read. A lot of people write, they didn't fall, always have only their pockets, so I appreciate the right of freedom of speech out here and freedom of expression. I know you take a lot, but I admire you guys. The reason I'm standing before you tonight is exactly about 6 weeks from now, the state road is going to be on the ballot. Look at that ballot and read it very carefully. No matter what anybody is out here telling you now, I promise you talking about they're going to build something, take care of that later. Exactly, those 8 items on that ballot is exactly what's going to be on there. Like I heard a guy on the TV the other day, he's supposed to be some kind of expert. You sit up saying it only costs the average Michigan for these roads $200. Now, our legislature have 4 years to get that together, and they don't wash their hands and took a towel and they're going to let the voters decide on it. And if anything come up about 2 years from now, they're going to say, you voters the one did it. We didn't do it, you did it. Now, I got 2 cars. And they're not going to no navigators, no expensive cars. I mean, they're $25,000 in their meeting. And I'm paying over $200-something a year just to register. And that's going up. This guy on TV actually said, it will come from on that. Also, your same bill, your telephone bill, your gas bill, all that state tax is going up. Also, you buy a new car. Some specialists from Lansing said it only take effect next year when you buy a new car. But if you buy a new car, $50,000, or if you buy a new house, or if you go anywhere it's gonna cost you a lot more than $200. Now, I'm not gonna give a position on this, but whatever to the surplus we had from the state when they made these cuts 4 years ago, I understand that in the uninsured motor fund, they have so much money up there from the state loan that they collected over so many years that Jimbo's, Ford, Christ, all property made last year, we still have, but a lot more than what up there, they're not even touching that. So they can look out elsewhere for that money. And what they say, something like the earnings coming back. They tell me, but they made cuts there, just like our property. When I was getting $1,200 some property relief, when I can pay my water bills around here, 2 people working, you're not gonna qualify. They talking about that earned income. I'm pretty certain a lot of people ain't gonna qualify for that. And you're gonna take somebody's promise that they're gonna send all this money to education, not the job. This big giant city down here, the emergency manager, even admitted the one that went out said his main objective the last so many years was to dismantle the school board in Detroit.
And your time is up.
Thank you for your yeah.
All right, thank you. And you did hit on a very important point. The city of Southfield will be producing a fact sheet on proposal 1 so that everybody in our community can make an informed decision, an important decision that will affect our community and our state as it relates to roads. So that will be coming out, and I think Mr. Zorn will briefly hit on that during this portion. The next person to be recognized is Mr. Richard Nelson. All right, we'll move to the council portion of our agenda. The first item on our agenda is to approve the expense report of Mr. Lloyd Cruz.
So moved.
And I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Council, any other items to be brought?
I would like to, for our discussion this evening at our earlier meeting, I would like to move that we make a permanently turn Civic Center Drive from Lasher to Evergreen, carry an honorary Martin Luther King Drive in Southfield. Support Mr. Mozat.
We have a motion by Mr. Cybers, supported by Mr. Cruz, to have an honorary sign on Martin Luther King Drive on top of Civic Center Drive from Evergreen to Lockwood Road.
And I'd just like to add that this does not change the name of Civic Center Drive. It is an honorary name that many communities have done, either after a person or a group of people or some historic event. So we'll still have the Civic Center Drive, just to clarify that motion.
All right, we have a motion on the table. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Any other council items to be brought to the table?
Yes, I have a couple. First of all, I received a letter today. As many people know in the community, for 2 years now, we have been fundraising for the Coasting the Baseline project. We are developing a pocket park at Rutland and 8 Mile Road, and we have raised over $40,000 in private public donations for this project. We're not spending city money or tax dollars on this project. And we began the installation of the baseline monument last fall, and we plan to finish it by this summer. On behalf of the city of Southfield, I submitted a grant to the Community Foundation for Southeast Michigan. I was notified today that our grant request was approved in the amount of $12,500. This will take us almost we're looking at about $55,000 for this project, and so this will get us closer to the finish line. I understand that the council at a future meeting will need to vote to accept this funding, and I hope that the council will. I have a second announcement to make, and that is this is my last televised meeting. Per our city charter, I need to step down so that I can pursue the November election for mayor of Southfield. And I would just add that it's been a great honor to serve the people of Southfield for the last 14 and a half years.
All right, any other council comments?
I just want to say one or two things. One, just a couple of acknowledgments. Some of you all may have seen this in Fortune magazine recently. There was a list of 100 best companies to work for, and two of those are actually here in Southfield. It was Plant Moran and Credit Acceptance Corp. that were both labeled there. So I think that's a wonderful thing for us, for our business community, something we should tout around to let everybody know this is a great place to again, work, live, and play. I also want to acknowledge two other leaders in the city. On Friday, myself and actually Ms. Jordan and Mr. Stiver and I actually all attended a ceremony that was hosted by the National Congress of Black Women in recognition of Women's History Month. And two of our leaders in the community were acknowledged there, Superintendent of the Schools, Dr. Linda Wood, and our commissioner who was here just a little while ago, Ms. Janet Jackson. Were two of the four awardees, so just want to publicly acknowledge them and commend them for the work that they've been doing.
That's right. Great. I have just a couple of things. First of all, I was approached by a councilwoman in Lakewood Village, Mr. Zorn, about doing a citywide garage sale with Lakewood Village. Having been during the same time, they're looking at doing a citywide garage sale on Saturday, May the 16th, and Councilwoman Garrett and the City of Lakewood Village asked if we would consider doing a citywide garage sale as well and do it together. I think that would just be great for the community. I know we have to work out if we could possibly give a pass on the sign that you have to purchase, just how we could work that out to make it happen, where we could have a citywide City of Southfield garage sale on the same Saturday that Lakewood Village will be hosting their garage sale. I think that's really important.
Is there a date for that, Ms. Jordan?
Saturday, May 16th.
May 17th?
May 16th. Saturday, May 16th. Also, I received a letter from Cambridge Village Association, and they had 3 issues that they wanted us to consider. And I said I'd bring it up and bring it to the council and see if we can place it on a committee of the whole meeting at a later date. And one is being the tree ordinance that we currently have. This particular resident had to remove a tree, and she wanted to replace it with a blooming tree, and was told that it was not allowed. And so she wanted to know if we could have some sort of review of our tree ordinance, because she said it was too expensive to spend, several $100s on several trees that she had to replace. So I'd just like for us to look at that again, just our tree ordinance, and making sure that we're fair to the residents, and making sure that if a tree is taken down, that it may not necessarily need to be a big tree, but we can consider like a blooming tree or blooming roses, because she said if she would have placed a big tree, it would have just blocked part of the area in her backyard. So we can look at that. As well as when we had the community-wide neighborhood association meeting, one of the issues that came up was the leaf cleanup. And maybe that's something we consider where we can divide the city off, you know, east and west and north and south, and maybe on the west side of the street, we don't have the same requirements for leaf pickup that we do on the east side of the street. So if we can bring those up at a later committee of the whole and talk about that. And then lastly, there is a tree that is down on 10 Mile Road. Large tree that was taken down by DTE. Still there, just wanting to make sure we can get that cleaned up. Now that the snow is melted, and it really was not a good eyesight for the city. It's right on 10 Mile, just south of, I should say, east of Bird Road. All right, thank you. We'll move to the mayor's portion of the agenda. Mayor Scott.
I have nothing this evening, and just, we're getting leaf bags out by the street now. I don't think it's scheduled, is it?
Till after the 1st of April.
Yeah, but I've seen a lot out on the road, because of the 60-degree weather we had, people were out cleaning up. But, anyway, if they have it for a week, they will be all over the street. Maybe some of those can be looked at, maybe by the supervisor who is picking up the rubbish. Maybe have one of our guys that they see a lot. You know, on one of the streets I forgot which one it was, they had about 8-10 bags out by the street. Anyway, summer's coming.
And I have, is that it?
There's enough tonight.
One other issue as it relates to code enforcement, if we can just put some extra eyes on the small signs that are being attached to the telephone poles. And that's happening on the weekends where they're handwritten and some of them are just advertising businesses. But we really have to, with the weather warming up, just take an aggressive approach to those on the weekends in particular. And if we can just have all eyes on Southfield and just making sure that we pull those things down immediately when they put up.
Well, Madam Chair, today, I seen 18-wheeler going in front of Federal Mobile, was followed by a heavy bulldozer, and I just wonder what's going on with all these heavy trucks on our road, especially that one I think is scheduled for repair or reconstruction. It was the last year exit, right in front of Federal Mobile, in front of I don't even know where he was going because you can't get off. Perhaps he must be going all the way down Bird Road with all that heavy equipment. But he's got to keep his eyes open for these big trucks because, we don't have, the ground was frozen yesterday, this morning, and, we're just, we had one of the, people who were supposed to be speaking, didn't speak to it, talking about already have potholes, and, they're coming.
All right, Mr. Zorn, do you have anything under the administrative portion?
Yes, I do have a proposed fact sheet that I'll circulate to council. I'd like to get comment on it regarding the proposal one, the make bid valid. We will work with planning and do a review of the tree ordinance so we can put that on the April column. And we certainly look at the garage sale item, and we'll need to take a look at the ordinance and how that's structured. If we're to do a waiver of the costs, that would need to be reviewed. Leaf cleanup is a pretty, and I know it's a large item, but we can certainly look at it. That's the type of thing that could be rolled into I think we currently charge our residents roughly $184 for garbage picked up. We could possibly look at an item there. And then on the leaf bag notice, I'll work with community relations to get a message out there, and I'll certainly have our waste management supervisor shadow, and I'll even have a conversation if we could start, if they're out there, just get them picked up. And regarding the weights, trucks and weights, a few months ago, council did take an action tweaking our ordinance on weights and measures. I will speak with the police chief regarding that.
So I was just talking to the city attorney, you know where they might be going, to their corporation, because they were going on that service line. You know, if they're gonna load up that big 18-wheeler or something, you know, that's.
Their corporation does have a $40 million expansion going on, however, they too need to comply with the frost laws. And I don't know, the temperature may have gotten cool enough the last couple of days that they were lifted, but as we heard from our city engineer at our last meeting, there's severe 25% weight restrictions, but that becomes an enforcement issue at the local level, and that's why I will speak with the police department. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor President. Obviously, item A was dealt with under the consent agenda. Item B is the amendment to the sewage utility disposal ordinance that was discussed at the COW meeting earlier this evening. This ordinance would define more appropriately how interceptor fees are assessed and based on the single-family home being one residential unit, and from there it's multiplied by the chart that the county has adopted. So if the council is in agreement with this ordinance, it would need to be approved and then introduced.
Any motion at this time?
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Snyder, supported by Mr. Cruz to introduce, or no, to approve the amendment to the sewer utility disposal. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Then we need to introduce the ordinance.
1639.
So moved. Introduction 1639.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Snyder, supported by Mr. Cruz to introduce ordinance 1639. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Madam President, the planner just noted to me that when we approved the amendment to the ODD, we did not introduce an ordinance. And he's absolutely correct that we should have. So if we could do an ordinance introduced, that would be what, 1640 would be the amendment to section 5.16.
So moved. 1640.
Support.
ODD.
We have a motion by Mr. Snyder, supported by Mr. Cruz to introduce ordinance 1640 of the overlay development district. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item on our agenda is the assessor and scheduling a public hearing for the single lot special assessment roll motion.
Also moved to schedule a public hearing on single special assessment roll.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Snyder, supported by Mr. Cruz, for the scheduling of the single lot assessment.
Do we have a date for that?
April 28th.
Oh, okay. Right. Thank you.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And then we need to enact two ordinances.
To the chair.
Mr. Cruz.
I just, in your information packet, I just wanted to point out that the 2014 Planning Commission annual report has been submitted as an informational item.
Okay, we need two more motions, so that's the meeting number.
I will move we enact ordinance 1637 and 1638.
Support. We have a motion by Mr. Cruz, supported by Mr. Snyder, to enact ordinance 1637 and 38. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Any other items to be brought to the council meeting with